56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Football Friday. Bryant and Brett with you for the next 3 hours. Obviously, a lot to get to between the Tigers last night, all of the football this weekend, so we will talk a lot of football over the next 3 hours. Like I said, Bryant and Brett with you. Brett, we're in our family leisure studios, I should say, but Brett is down in Oxford getting ready for Ole Miss's game this weekend against Georgia Tech. We'll carry that game on this station tomorrow afternoon, pregame starting at 5:30 when you can first hear Brett Norsworthy tomorrow.
4:30.
Oh, did I not say 4:30? I'm sorry. What did I say? 3:30? 4:30.
You said 5:30.
Oh, I'm so sorry. 4:30.
Many may want to miss an hour of me, but
no. You might want to get in a little early so you can hear all of Brett Norsworthy. Make sure you hear him. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Bryant. That was the Florida Gator fight song, and for the final time, a late September matchup in division play with the Tennessee Vols. They're scheduled to play next year. Florida goes to Knoxville next year. Next week, we'll find out exactly when, as the SEC schedule and dates and such will be revealed next Wednesday afternoon. But for the final time in division play, and division play is what made that rivalry. And Bryant, we're really at kind of a kick point in college football. We're losing some tradition and things are changing.
Sure.
But with anything, there's going to be something out of this that grows. There will be a rivalry made across college football with all the changes. I don't know where, I don't know who it will be, but I know it will happen because Florida and Tennessee was never like this before the division play. In fact, one of the things we lost, and I can remember then because I was here and we were having Fight Song Friday then.
So you're telling me not much has changed?
Well, a little bit has changed. but even then I can remember, oh, God, we're losing so much. Now, we won't have Tennessee and Auburn every September Tennessee and Auburn was great every September. It felt like the lid lifter. It felt like the starter of the year in the SEC and some classic games, and often would be played in Birmingham when Auburn was the home team. And I can remember people, we're going to lose that. We're going to lose other things. We lost it, but I say Tennessee, Florida has been better these last, counting tomorrow, 32 years. And Alabama and LSU, while always good, it got elevated.
Yeah.
Alabama's first rival and always first rival will always be the Iron Bowl matchup against Auburn. Second will always be third Saturday of October against Tennessee. LSU's probably always been third, but not to this level. It even raised the rent on it.
No, you're absolutely right, and so it's interesting. I mean, we've talked a lot. You talk about how much rivalries have changed, and with kind of the changing of college football, and we're going to start seeing a lot of that now. I mean, we've talked a lot about Bedlam. This is going to be the last year for that, even though it's not because of a conference thing. TCU, SMU about to go on a hiatus. A lot of those Pac-12 rivalries we won't see anymore. So I mean, it's sad for sure. I mean, because Bedlam is something that we look forward to every single year. Some of these Pac-12 games we look to every single year, and so that is sad. But you're right. I think there will be new rivalries, especially with these teams entering different conferences. We already might see it brewing with Texas and Alabama these last two seasons. Them playing, that could become some sort of rivalry. So
Arkansas and Texas back.
So we're getting some of the old ones back, but there's still the potential for some new, really exciting rivalries to build.
I know you do. I do as well, and we want your thoughts on everything last night and everything heading into the weekend at 901-360-8255. Hit us up if you would like to weigh in. There's been a lot of thoughts today. I've heard some on our radio station, and I, of course, saw the some of the rot out there on Twitter. But I can argue both sides from last night. I would prefer to argue 3-0.
That's right.
Now, I do not want to delude myself, and I think I did. I think collectively we did last year with the 4-1 is 4-1 because we know what happened over the next four weeks or so, or whatever the record was last year. I don't want to do that again this year, but I do take the stand like I heard Dave Willotion say this morning. Of one quarter of the season's in. Coach Nick Saban was talking last week about this is not a final exam. Last night was not a final exam. It wasn't a midterm. Every single week in college football, as I said yesterday, has that win or die feeling around it. Every single week. Here's what the test is. There's no curve. There's there's no letter grades. Here's what it is. It's pass or fail.
Yep.
And when you pass, lose, you fail.
No, you're absolutely right. And I was on with Dave Willotion this morning, and I thought he made a really good point. When we were talking, he said, would this team last year have won that game last night? If it was close in the fourth quarter, back and forth. I mean, Brett, we've talked, ever since.
It's almost like they played Houston last year in a similar style game.
Exactly. I mean, we've talked about last year's team at length between the last game of last season and before the first game of this season of how those one-score ball games, they just could not win. I mean, you go back and look at that record in one-score ball games. They didn't win any, I don't think. Maybe one somewhere, but they were just awful in those one-score games. So I think to be able to win a game like that when – we talked about that Navy triple option. Very hard to get ready for. Brett, Navy threw 20 times last night. I mean, this is a type of triple option.
Aaron Coryell. They didn't throw that much with Roger Staubach.
I mean, Brett, I saw John Varlas said you would think this is the air raid from Navy tonight from their last teams.
And the Tigers made that running back look like Joe Polino.
Oh, my gosh. Alex Texa. He was over 100 yards in the first quarter, Brett. I mean,
stumbling too.
Finished with 163 yards and a touchdown. So, I think this was a new look offense. I will say, and I've heard a lot of people, both here not really here locally because a lot of people are focusing on the Tigers, but I have heard people who cover the American Athletic Conference, people nationally who were just watching the game. You can see that Navy team getting better from that Week 0 game against Notre Dame. And maybe that Notre Dame is just a really, really, really dominant team. But it also could be Navy's just getting better. And so I think it's a new-look Navy team. But you're right. I mean, you're happy to get out of that. But, there were some things that I think should probably worry you from that game last night. But at the end of the day, you're 3-0 with now a long week before having to go up to St. Louis.
That's right, and play Mizzou. Now, Dave and I differ on this. I want Mizzou to win tomorrow.
I do too.
And make the stakes even bigger. And I think a Mizzou win, they could get a little. Okay, we beat Kansas State. Who are we playing in St. Louis? I want that. I want that kind of diss. But about last night, while I'm going to take kind of my top line and maybe even bottom line. 3-0, and the strides made from last year, is you very well enunciated. There's plenty of analysis and critique from last night.
Sure.
Is it just really get down on somebody and fire a bunch of people and bench a bunch of people? I don't have that.
No.
I don't have that today. I think people fairly, though, last night could see warning signs from last night. If you want to, but the old saw of you learn a lot more out of a win than a loss, or it's better to learn from. They have that. I think Navy's better. Don't want to make too much out of them, but the game got odd. But we also saw out of last night, Tigers have an established running back, and your guy wide receiver, Rock Taylor's got that look that he could step up and be the established guy there. I think they have a tight end. Last night was the first time I've really gotten to watch the Tigers since the bowl game.
Yeah.
And I've got some thoughts on that and some thoughts about Seth Hennigan along those lines. But they got the win. It won't hang at the Louvre in artistic wins. But again, in the pass-fail world that we all live in college football, win means you passed.
Sure. Absolutely, and I think, like you said, you have seen a lot of people locally who cover the team or just fans of the team on social media around town that are very concerned after last night's game, and I'm kind of in the camp of I don't know how concerned you can be after a loss. I think, like you said, those warning signs can come up. There can be things that, hey, I want to keep an eye on this going forward. I want to see what happens with this. I noticed this last night. Let's see how it looks next week against Missouri. And so, a couple of those things, but you're right. I mean, Blake Watson, 169 yards on 10 carries, 1 touchdown. I mean, he's unbelievable. Now, we've talked to a lot of people this week who have all said, Ryan Silverfield really likes going by the committee, have multiple guys kind of ride the hot hand. And only 2 other running backs, Jay Ducker and Sutton Smith, both only got 4 carries last night. Blake Watson looks like a clear-cut number 1 running back.
It's his job.
I mean, just watching him run, even on runs where he only gets maybe 4 or 5 yards, he just looks different from those other 2 running backs. And so he's very impressive to watch. And you pointed out Anthony Lamphere. I've been really impressed with him because coming into this season, last year, obviously with Caden Prescorn, we know how great of a tight end Caden Prescorn was and still is. But Anthony Lamphere didn't record a single reception last year for the Tigers. Before that, when he was at the College of San Mateo, I think he might have had 1 reception in his lone season there. So really a guy that came in more of a blocking tight end, hadn't had much experience as a pass-catching tight end. Last week, I think he had about 4 receptions for like 27 yards. Last night, 3 receptions for 31 yards. And really, that's all you really need from him. You don't need him to go out and record 120 yards like Caden Prescorn did last year. You just need him to be a kind of a reliable target, be able to pass block, be able to run block when you need him to, but then also kind of be able to go out there and catch passes when need be. And through 3 games, I think he's done a really good job of doing that.
And a lot of takes on the crowd last night. I don't have that big a screaming take. My days of that there and at FedEx Forum are kind of over. I mean, it's just kind of what we've not comfortable with, but what it's dissolved into. And I know with that win last night, and for sure an upset win next week in St. Louis, the crowd for Boise State will be a lot better than last night, and a lot better for Bethune-Cookman, whether it's scanned or guessed or ticket sold, whatever. I'm so tired of all that and mixed up and all that.
Sure.
But if they win, people will respond to it. Then if they don't after winning, then I may want to wade back into that. And speaking of that, I think after winning and stadium renovation, if you don't have anything, then you got issue. And there's a whole new peel of things today with the stadium issue, with some great reporting by Jonah and Mark at the Commercial Appeal, and looks like things are on track to get rolling with the financing and the Tigers with their chunk of money. I don't see how it can be denied. Now, I do like the very aggressive out front Veach Hardgrave approach. Whether you want to call it kind of campaigning in the media, playing it out of media, it may be. I like that.
Yeah.
To kind of get out ahead of the Grizzlies a little bit on the PR front. I'm not saying make the Grizzlies play defense. Just let people know that this is the structure, this is the financing. When I'm speaking for the University of Memphis here, we want our fair share.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and I don't really know where I sit on the argument. I'm so mad that it's gotten to a point where the city is completely split, and half think all the money should go to the Grizzlies, half think all the money should go to the Tiger. It's a lot of money. But I think no matter which side you sit on, I think you have to respect a president at a university and an AD at a university kind of coming together and forming this team that wants to be out front, wants to get their message out there. I know on the pregame show last night, President Hargrave went out and played golf with Dan Mullins and I think everybody from that broadcast team last night. And so, he's really trying to get his face out there and be seen and obviously kind of share his idea for the university. And I love a hands-on president. And I graduated when I guess his first semester there was my final semester there, so I didn't get too much interaction with him, but I really like how hands-on he's been ever since taking the job.
Another big issue today, and I don't want to avoid it, is the issue of the lawsuit by the football player at Ole Miss, directed at Ole Miss, and a lot of charges and innuendo in that story, and apparently, obviously, a verified phone conversation that he recorded surreptitiously but legal in the state of Mississippi. Only one party can control it. You don't have to have the consent of the other, and on that, some very graphic, forceful, I call it coaching verbiage language. If anybody is shocked by it, if anybody is stunned by that kind of language, now you can say, maybe during that youngster's heartbreak, and in that, I think Lane Kiffin is cleared in saying, I understand mental health issues. We talked about mental health issues yesterday, Brian, and I told you yesterday, not 25 hours ago, I said, or 23 hours ago, I said, it is now becoming the shield. If someone in any workplace, anything, sports, in anything, when they express that, you almost have to, you almost have to be, you have to be very agreeable. I can't think of the right word. I almost said surrender, and that's not accurate.
But I know, it's very difficult.
I don't mean it.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation.
But when they say, it's no longer, hey, I'm just having a bad day. But when they say mental health, you have to be on alert. You have to be understanding. You have to be in a workable situation with them. Lane Kiffin in those quotes said, "I appreciate that. I understand that. I'm." And then the language was very hot and caustic, and a lot of cursing, some big magic words. If you don't think just about every coach in the world is using that kind of language, then I don't know what you're thinking of. And I can remember one time in a game at the Pyramid when John Calipari called one of those words used in that conversation that Lane Kiffin used, directed at Earl Barron, that everybody within 25 rows heard and the TV microphone picked up.
Yikes. Yeah. I mean, it happens.
So let's not act like that language is not used. If you don't think kind of tough, crude, coarse language is used, turn on your radio and listen to a pop station.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Brett. That or you've never played sports at really any level past probably middle school, maybe even not past middle school, because high school coaches are the exact same way.
It's a reason why they call it locker room talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's unfortunate. And
that's where they basically were. They were in his office, but that's tantamount to being in the locker room.
Same thing. So it's unfortunate that it's gotten to this point and kind of made these big headlines like we're kind of seeing ever since last night. But I think you're right. I mean,
now for Ole Miss, if it's isolated at the player that's making the charges, but if it became a snowball effect like at Northwestern, then my opinion and the facts will change as facts change.
Absolutely, and that's with anything. The more information you learn, you can change your opinion. But
I will categorically say, and I've seen him deal with people across the spectrum, whether it's players, media. I've never seen Lane Kiffin treat anybody any differently because of their race. Never.
Yes. So definitely unfortunate that it's gotten as big as it has, but like you said, we'll wait and see what else comes from this. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Alan Bell from CBS Sports Digital, also the executive director of the Early Edge. He'll join us. We'll talk some wagering with him. We'll do a lot of NFL with Alan Bell as we've got week 2 really kicking off on Sunday. 3:45, we'll get back into the Memphis versus Navy conversation. We'll also take a look at some of the other AAC matchups for the weekend. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and his new website, BAMSports.com. sportstimessports.net will join us. We'll do a lot of college football handicapping with him. We'll also get to a couple of NFL games with Bruce. At 4:30, we'll get into the SEC and top 25, what that weekend looks like. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to next week. Next week's going to be a fantastic week of college football, but I do think there's some very intriguing matchups this weekend and some really, really fun games.
Careful of that sleepy weekend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there should be
especially early.
You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of games, a lot of top 25 teams playing earlier in the day. So for sure, it should be a fun weekend. We'll get to all of that at about 4:30. We'll also have to get to our bingo card towards the end of that 4:30 segment. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas will join us to talk about the Razorbacks and their game this weekend against BYU. We'll also get his thoughts on some of the other games in the SEC this week, and we'll do that at 5 o'clock with Ty. Then at 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast, and we'll wrap up the show and wrap up the week at 5:45 with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
And we'll alert people. We started with Florida at the 4 o'clock hour. If you're of the Big Orange persuasion, you will like the 4 o'clock hour. For Bryant, he's only doing it because I asked him for that game. So he's not going to get kicked out of his household. And hopefully if Tiger fans want to cover their ears, we're going to come back at 4 o'clock with Rocky Top.
Yeah, we are. But let me remind you, we're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas. And don't forget about the 24-month same-as cash. It's still available only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
901-360-8255 to weigh in on any of those topics out there, and anything you'd like to weigh in on, a game or any specifics you'd like to weigh in on this Friday afternoon. He's Bryant, I'm Brett. We're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock in this hour. Brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. The one and only Lexus dealership in town with great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the Tigers are 3-0 after a Thursday night victory over Navy. We talked about the line yesterday. It was 13 points. We both thought that they would cover, that it would be an easy game for the Tigers, but that wasn't the case. 28-24 over Navy. I thought they did some good things. I thought they did some bad things. I mean, when you look at it, Blake Watson was unbelievable. The defense, though, I think maybe took a step back. Maybe it was just the competition they played in those first two games. Seth may have. Seth didn't look as sharp, but also, I mean, that Navy defense was getting after him every single time he dropped
business,
back.
Weren't they?
Oh, yeah, they really were. But, you know, when you look at this defense, I know a lot of people were very excited about what this defense could be after 2 weeks, and some people are a little concerned after last night's game. You give up 24 points to Navy. They throw for 133 yards. They almost rush for 300 yards. But, you know, one thing that jumps out to me, Brett, we talk about the one-score games and that it's great that they won this game last night, but one thing that really stands out to me is some of these new players that the Tigers have added through the transfer portal, mainly on defense. Now, Blake Watson obviously fits that mold at the running back position, but on defense, Chandler Martin from ETSU had a great game last night. He's had a great start to the season. Diego Brumfield, who is a cornerback, one of the corners
18.
that starts, he's been extremely impressive to me after coming from an NAIA school last year. I think he's been fantastic through 3 games. And then we talked a lot about Simeon Blair, where we're going to talk with Ty Richardson about Arkansas. He came from Arkansas. We asked Ty before the season started.
Different.
He does look different, and he makes a play. He makes a big-time play every single game. Last night was the big forced fumble at the very end of the game. So, this defense, they're playing well. Now, we did get a text to start the show from Brad. Hey, guys, that play in the second quarter where the center, quarterback, and intended receiver were the only Tigers who moved, was that a play or the biggest oops in history? Even the announcers. I think it was an oopsie. I was even sitting there going, what's going on? There's got to be a flag somewhere. Because
it was almost like the hidden ball play, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. We've gotten so used to when, they snap the ball and nobody else moves, there's a flag. Someone's jumped off sides, there's a flag, and it's a free play. I was looking all over for the flag. There's got to be a flag somewhere. So it wasn't, I bring this up to say it was not the cleanest game the Tigers have ever played by any means.
In a short week, remember.
In a short week. But I say all that to say, the Tigers are 3-0, and I think when all of us were talking about our preseason predictions, we all had them 3-0 with these 3 first wins. So, they're still on schedule. Whether it was the cleanest game or a sloppy game, 3-0 is all I think we need to think about.
I say it all the time about golf. They don't draw pictures. They just write scores in those little boxes on that scorecard. My top story, the test. We talk a lot about tests and exams and pass, fail, and final exams and midterm exams. The tests get harder for all the area SEC teams this weekend. Georgia Tech against Ole Miss, BYU and Fayetteville against Arkansas, Tennessee at Florida, and Mississippi State at home in Starkville against LSU. State with the toughest test of all those facing LSU. BYU and Georgia Tech both lost in this spot last year at home against Arkansas and Ole Miss. And for Tennessee in this last year of division play versus Florida, the best rivalry out of division play came this game. It's the last time we're probably going to have it in this spot. Again, they play next year, but we don't know where it will be. And maybe it'll continue with this kind of venom and vitriol, but it may not. But we get it one more time.
Yeah.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day is just another weekend of football. College football, NFL, we're getting it all again. And it's just, last week was week 1 of the NFL. And it was just so nice to be able to spend a whole Saturday watching football, then go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and have a whole other slate of Sunday NFL football. It's just great. I mentioned it earlier that a lot of people are kind of overlooking this week 3 of college football. I think there's going to be some intriguing matchups. I know we'll talk about it later, but it looks like Tyler Buckner is going to start for Alabama this weekend against USF. So some intrigue there, even though Alabama should dominate USF. We'll get a look at Tyler Buckner. What does he look like as the starting quarterback? There's some other really intriguing games. Then on Sunday, you get into the NFL. You never know what's going to happen on an NFL Sunday. So I'm really excited for the weekend. A couple of college games tonight, but it really gets kicked off tomorrow.
My not top story, it is put-up time for Tennessee, especially this year. This Florida team, this isn't Spurrier. This isn't Urban. Heck, this isn't Ron Zook. This isn't Danny Werfel or Tim Tebow. This isn't even the Bachelor at quarterback for Florida. Tennessee must win and look good doing it. If not now, then win for the Big Orange down in the swamp.
That's a good point. And that line, I know we'll probably ask both Bruce and Allen about it, but 6.5, a little scary for the Vols on the road. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. I just mentioned that Tennessee line. Let's go ahead and get to a break, because when we come back, we're going to talk some wagering with Alan Bell.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Give me liberty and give me real estate.
I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and that was Hugh Mallory. Not only does he work with me at Mark Spensdorf Realtors, he's the president of this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl. So Hugh, instead of sounding like Patrick Henry, what do you mean?
Well, Sheldon, like you, I sell real estate. I'm also privileged to serve as president of the 65th AutoZone Liberty Bowl, which will be held Friday, December 29th at 2:30. I'm able to handle all my clients, whether they're buying or selling, while participating in this great annual tradition.
Hugh, that is definitely quite an honor, and with your fabulous track record in real estate sales, I know you'll do a great job. Hugh will move you as something to remember, and you can reach Hugh Mallory at 497-9756. It's also why people often say that when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. You can reach me, Shell Dunn Rosengarten, at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. That's MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. See you at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl on December 29th.
It's time to go where the season takes you, and it's the season for savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Go for miles more with 43 MPG Highway in your 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,815 or $229 a month. 2024 Eclipse Cross eludes sleek and sporty style at $29,695 or $399 a month. Discover the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with third row and 7-passenger seating. Now $29,885 or $449 a month. And they're all equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We're ready to put you in a new ride today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months. Mirage RH 00782 MSRP 18315. Eclipse RZ 001693 MSRP 30445. Outlander RZ 005762 MSRP 31385. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax title and licensee dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Memphis Public Links has so much going on right now. Audubon is right around the fairway. Wait until you see when this thing is a finished product. Fox Meadows is in great shape. The Links at Pine Hill is now a masterpiece of a place to play, as are really all the other Memphis public golf courses. Galloway is playing like a championship course. They just finished the 75th year of the OPO, and Overton Park is now talked about, and that layout all across the state. And by the way, folks, it's so easy to make a tee time. The hard part is getting your buddies to pick their time. You go online to MemphisPublicLinks.com, select your course, then grab your tee time. Simple, easy, and incredibly convenient. Also, on the website is a schedule of upcoming events. There you'll find something that will interest you. Again, if you want to book a tee time or find out more about tournaments or other events at any of the great Memphis public golf courses, go online to MemphisPublicLinks.com.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Everyone agrees that 117 Prime is Memphis's premier downtown dining experience. But what if you could go one step further and have 117 Prime at home? As hard as it is to believe, 117 Prime, which features some of the best food in Memphis, is available for curbside or takeout. Imagine just swinging by Prime and picking up not just something good, but something great. 117 Prime makes the best steaks in Memphis, and you could eat it in your living room. The best food in Memphis, enjoy the way you really want to. Pantsless.
Let's make some money. It's time for Wagering Talk with Alan Bell from CBS Sports. Alan is the executive producer of Early Edge, part of CBS Sports Digital, and on Twitter X at Alan G. Bell. Here's Alan with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Well, let's try to make some money for the weekend. Alan Bell joins us now from CBS Sports Digital and the executive Director of Early Edge. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. And I want to start with some of these college games before we really get into the NFL. And so I'll start with one here regionally in the state of Tennessee. The Vols going down to Florida to take on the Gators. I've heard a lot of people talking about this matchup kind of going into this week, but right now, Tennessee only about a 6-point favorite. I think now it's gone even down to 5.5. What do you think about the Vols going down to the Swamp?
Yeah, man. First off, appreciate you guys having me back, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll say, yeah, like this is it's a fascinating matchup in terms of, Tennessee, I believe, hasn't won in 9 straight in Gainesville. You look at Florida, not really that good of a team. You look at Tennessee, not saying anything negative, but they haven't really shown anything in their first 2 games this season either. If you ask me, the best play, quite frankly, is on the under. Now, we've seen this drop from 59 all the way down to 56 in the last 48 hours, and I think that that's the sharp move because you have 2 offenses. Quite frankly, Tennessee can get to 30 points. I don't see any way that Florida does, right? Like, I don't hate the spread at all, especially that it's going in Tennessee's favor or dropping down if you were a Tennessee better, right?
Sure.
But you're going to see a lot of running the football. You're going to see an offense in Florida that, without a mobile quarterback in Graham Mertz, really has a tough time generating consistent scoring in terms of touchdowns. So, yeah, man, like this feels like a 30 to 17, 30 to 19 type of a game in Tennessee's favor.
Yeah, I don't think Florida could get to 30 points at the spring game with either side. And we don't want to just brush by. Do we want to make some money with Alan Bell? Last week on these airwaves at this time, you can go listen to it at the podcast. You can go listen to it online. Last week, 3-0 on college football, 6-1 with us on the NFL, and the one loss is Alan had the over 1 interception for Joe Burrow. I know there's not a shoulda window to go cash a ticket, but Joe Burrow should have had 5 interceptions. So your one loss was narrow, and your first pick this week's under the 56.5 in the Tennessee-Florida game. Alan, I remember a 2-time national champion called the Georgia Bulldogs. When's their season start?
I know, right? I'm still waiting for that myself. You there?
Yeah,
we are. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm still waiting for that myself. However, I do think that it's going to be this Saturday. I think that Georgia's going to
really?
Welcome back, dogs.
Exactly, right? I think they're going to get themselves in gear here. Now, I never want to play these Georgia spreads because they're so large, right? Like, I mean, it's just, we talk about, like, the Kansas City Chiefs previously, not this year, but previously, and you look, and they really don't have a good against the spread record, but it's because you're playing everything well over a touchdown, and which is huge, and then in college football with Georgia, it's always like 30 points or more, right? So it's just so many points. I don't want to play that. What I do expect, though, is that Georgia is going to, establish themselves once again. I like Spencer Rattler for South Carolina. I don't like him all that much. I'll tell you the best bet, though, on this game is play South Carolina in the second half, their team total over 6.5 points. That's it. 6.5 points is their team total in the second half, and I'll tell you why. Either they're getting blown out and they'll get a garbage touchdown, or they're in the game and they'll score a touchdown, right? Like that's all that you need. So that is the best way. I know that it's a little of a deep dive on a bet, but take it. They're going to get at least one score this like that.
Tomorrow in a matchup of nothing but 1600s on the SAT, Northwestern visits Duke in Durham at Wallace Wade Stadium. I didn't think Northwestern would win a game this year. They did last week. They're 1-1. Duke's 2-0. Combined 3 wins for these two teams. That would be a couple of decades in the 70s and 80s for these two. Duke laying the 17 at home over Northwestern.
Yeah, here's the fascinating thing. Look, first off, these are 2 schools that wouldn't even allow me to apply because it would just waste everyone's time, right?
They don't let me drive around on campus.
Exactly. Look, I'll tell you what, man. I'll take Northwestern with the point. Now, that's nothing against Duke. Duke is the far better team here. However, I think Northwestern has actually kind of found something, and the fact that they're scoring points different than what we're used to with them. So this is really playing a number more than anything else. This is likely a game that Duke leads, Duke controls the entire time. But they could give up garbage time points there in the end. And Northwestern, yeah, I mean, they can score. But again, like, this nothing against Duke. We were texting about it. That's a well-coached football team. I really respect and admire, how they go about it. But this is just playing a number. You give me that many points in a game that Duke's not going to care about, really, I'll take the points on that.
Alan, Brett's down in Oxford right now for Georgia Tech
Beautiful
and
Oxford,
Ole Miss.
Mississippi.
Beautiful Oxford. He's down there getting ready for the game tomorrow between Georgia Tech and Ole Miss. We saw what Ole Miss did last week against Tulane, but now at home against a 1-1 Georgia Tech team and favored by 18 points. That total sitting at around 63. Do you like anything in this one?
Yeah, I like Ole Miss. I'll take the 18 points, even though that's a gross number in regards to any game, right? Because now you're essentially needing 3 touchdowns because 18 just finds itself in no man's land. That being said,
might as well be 20.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, in Sportstime, we simulated the game 10,000 times. We've got Ole Miss winning 38-14 in this one. And quite frankly, Georgia Tech is not that good of a football team, and Ole Miss is going to find themselves getting better and better each week. I like where Lane Kiffin and this team is at. I feel like they're, motivated in regards to focusing on the task at hand, and especially this week. I like Lane in that. I like Ole Miss in that. So, I'll take the 18. Give me Ole Miss.
On Sunday, the NFL, and again, that record last week for Allen Bell was 6-1 on the National Football League. Let's come out of the gate firing real hot, all guns blazing. Your favorite play from the NFL on Sunday?
Yeah, so all right, that's a great question here, and we've got a couple, but I'll focus in here, on just a couple here. Look, I like Jacksonville plus 3.5 at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Not that I'm out fully on the Chiefs, but I do feel like the Jaguars are a team that can cover with that hook specifically, and I think that after their Week 1 performance against the Colts, that you're going to see a large jump from Week 1 to Week 2. So, give me the Jaguars plus the 3.5. I'm not saying they win the game outright. Wouldn't surprise me, but I'm definitely going to play that number at 3.5.
I like that. I'm curious. I carry this notebook around, Alan. A lot of people think I write notes in it, but it really has the parade routes, the Super Bowl parade route for the Dallas Cowboys in it, and especially after what I saw last Sunday night, I could not be more sure about anything in my life. But now they get the Jets. We know what's going on with the Jets right now at home. Dallas minus 8.5. That seems kind of big to me, especially with kind of what that Cowboys offense looked like in that first game. What do you like in this one?
Oh, I'll tell you what, buddy. Look, everyone is going to play this game kind of how you just insinuated there. All right? They're going to say, look, the Jets bounced back, came back, won. Quarterback Zach Wilson looked good. The Cowboys, their defense did it all. You know what? Perfect scenario. Give me Dallas here with the points. I think that their offense comes out and proves that wasn't just the defense, and I think the Jets have a massive come back down to reality game because, look, that Dallas defense is for real, buddy. And if Zach Wilson thinks he's going to have a good time, no, Hoss, it ain't happening there. I love it. The public's going to be all over the Jets because of that scenario, going the complete opposite route. Give me Dallas. I think that they rout the Jets.
I love it.
And where Zach Wilson has to be mentally, he was prepared to watch Aaron Rodgers do his thing this year, now thrust in there after 2 minutes of game time having elapsed on Monday night, and he still can't hide from that 8-15 all-time starting record in the NFL. His time may come. I just don't think it's this year. Great analysis by you on that pick with the Cowboys laying 8.5.
Real quick. The fact that, what you just said, absolutely, and the Dallas defense calling themselves the Doomsday Defense Part 2, buddy, they're coming for it, man. They ain't
Welcome back, Zach.
Yeah.
Sunday in Nashville, Chargers minus 2.5 on Sunday in Nashville. Titans home opener. Will you be in the ballpark or will you be at the shop chopping it up all day?
Yeah, I'll be in the shop at work chopping it down. But our office is right next to the stadium, so that's fast. I can actually walk out into the top of the parking lot and look
so you
over
can
at
feel
the
the game day atmosphere.
That's awesome.
Oh, I can sit there and watch it. Yeah, now they all look like ants, but I can sit there and watch it. I'll say this, man. You know, we spoke about the Titans. We've spoken about them on this show pretty much week after week after week all summer leading up to now. And week one is exactly what we broke down that they would be. Defense is good. Defense is solid. Offense is going to have serious problems. One of the worst offensive lines in the league.
Big Jeff on one side, Little Ryan on the other side.
Exactly, right? One of the worst wide receiving corps in the league. Now, the Chargers not necessarily a big road team historically. However, they do the one thing that Tennessee can't. They score points. I'm going to take the Chargers now that it's at 2.5. If this were 3.5, I would probably look way more at Tennessee because their defense is going to keep them in games. And they're going to cover games a lot this year, even when they don't win. But the fact that it's 2.5, I'm going to play the Chargers. They're the better team by far. So, I'll play Chargers.
Absolutely. Well, it should be a fun weekend, both college football and the NFL. Alan, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, look forward to it, fellas. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk.
Thanks, Alan.
Good luck, and we'll be texting all weekend. Thank you, Alan Bell from CBS Sports with those picks. And, again, you can go to our website, sports56whbq.com, and hear those. And Bryant will have it up at the podcast, especially for you to be able to listen to almost momentarily. This weekend, you're going to need food. You're going to need a lot of it. And you're going to maybe need a couple fun, great places to go to. You got them in the commissary. 2 great locations. The new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original, the mainstay where it all began for Walker Taylor and his team in 1981 in Germantown. Perfect place for a big group. At Houston, Levy, and Poplar, about 75 people can congregate there and enjoy all the games. About 30 at the Germantown Commissary. And if you're tailgating, you're headed to Oxford, headed to Fayetteville, headed to Starkville, anywhere you're going this weekend in the SEC. I know a lot of people last night at Tiger Lane enjoyed it. Get the party packs, the 6-pack, the 8-pack, 12-pack, perfect for tailgating for high school football tonight. Get those at the commissary. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs done the Memphis way, the slow-cooked way. If you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary right now at 33733. Start with the appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, the smoked chicken wings, and the barbecue nachos, a staple of sports invented at the Germantown commissary. And you can get all those, and that's for starters. Then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, and all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread, and those party packs, 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack, the desserts, 901-754-5540, or go online at commissarybbq.com. In Collierville and Germantown, the party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating, and soon I'll be telling you about the holiday bird for Thanksgiving and for the Christmas holidays. 901-754-5540, online at commissarybbq.com.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the weekend for the American Athletic Conference. That's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero, P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit dealers.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Randy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with the 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 due at signing. And the 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 due at signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase, all 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and we've talked a lot about the Tigers, their win over Navy in their first American Athletic Conference game. But, Brett, I am a little surprised to look at the schedule this weekend for the AAC and not see any other conference matchups. I figured that you would see at least a couple of conference games getting started for other teams in the conference, but it just isn't that. Every other team's playing a non-conference game, and then we'll start conference play next week. So I kind of found that interesting.
Very. A couple of good ones, though. I think East Carolina and Appalachian State could be good, and down in Hattiesburg, that game between Tulane and Southern Miss should be a lot of fun. That's 3 o'clock on ESPNU, and Tulane, an 11.5-point favorite on the road. And I'm gonna watch Tulane all year closely for the AAC. I'm going to go to the Tiger-Tulane game Friday night, October 13th. But after seeing them last weekend, I think a very good team with the qualifier of, very early, but that was also with the backup quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, so, have we really even seen this team at full strength yet this season because of some of those injuries? So that should be a really good game. Southern Miss is a team that has improved. They've looked better over the last couple of seasons. A team that I think can do some damage to Power 5 teams even, and so that should be a really, really good game. The other one, late at night, Florida Atlantic Clemson will be definitely a good shot for an American team to go out and try to force some sort of upset against a Clemson team that I don't think has been super impressive to many people this year.
No, Clemson, a little like Alabama. People starting to have the questions around them. Is it over? I think probably the peak Dabo years at Clemson probably have come and gone, but still can be really good. They were good last year, just not at that big level. And I talked about it a lot during it, to go the quarterback run they went on, to go Taj Boyd, to go to Deshaun Watson, to go Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's just hard to sustain that. A little bit like Bama, gravity gets you at some point, and it's hard to stay up in that lofty rare air. I don't know why I stereotyped it like I did, but when I saw this Oklahoma-Tulsa matchup, and it's at Tulsa, I thought, wow, they couldn't have played there very many times, but they have.
Really?
Oklahoma's been there a lot. Now they win a lot, and they win big. Last time for Tulsa to win this matchup was 1996. They won that one in Norman. The last time to win the game in Tulsa, 1942.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a long time ago, Brett. So, Oklahoma's been playing a lot of, this is the second week in a row now that Oklahoma's played an American team. Last week playing SMU, now playing Tulsa, and 28.5-point line. So I think Oklahoma might cruise to a victory tomorrow.
And I think people know where I stand on playing. I think you should play teams in the area.
Yeah.
I applaud OU for doing it. And, when I was asked earlier this week by Dave about the Memphis Ole Miss series, I think they should play, and I think it should be opening night.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So looking at some of these other matchups in the American this weekend, one that jumps out to me, 2:30 tomorrow. It is on ESPN Plus. East Carolina, who started the season 0-2, I thought pretty competitive against Michigan, even though the score was like 30-3. Going up against App State, their only loss this year was last week when they had to go to 2 overtimes with North Carolina and ultimately lost that game. So that could be a really, really good game. App State, a program that I have kind of looked at in this expansion talks of replacing a team in the American as a team that I think you should go out and at least try to start a conversation with, because they have been for years the team in college football that no Power 5 team wants to play. Everyone is on high alert when they see them on their schedule. And in those other sports, they've been fairly competitive. They have a good baseball program. Basketball, I don't think is completely there yet, but has definitely improved over the last couple of years. So that should
you could live with their basketball history, though.
Absolutely. So I think would be a great school for Mike Oresco to go out and maybe not, maybe it doesn't happen, but at least I think you have to see kind of where their feet are in terms of moving to a different
conference.
conference.
Quarterback for Bama against South Florida tomorrow. Who would have believed? Now, the first pulling of the quarterback in the SEC was Alabama.
I mean, especially, you just talked about Clemson and kind of that string of quarterbacks they've had. You could say the same thing about Alabama. And so, yeah, very, very surprising to see that they're going to have to turn to a new quarterback, and Tyler Buckner is expected to get the start tomorrow against South Florida. But before we get to a break, the weekend is almost here. I know you're looking for a night out, so let me point you into the direction of 117 Prime. Located at 117 Union Avenue, opening 4 p.m. daily, 117 Prime offers perfect steaks cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. And the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling cross-country like at some of these other steakhouses. Pair your steak with a wine from their award-winning wine menu, or switch it up with their wine of the month. Not a fan of beef? No problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oyster, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now, and there's still time to enjoy their happy hour. It's about to get started. 4 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday. It's the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117prime.com or give them a call, 901-433-9851 for 117 Prime. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll head out to Vegas and talk to Bruce Marshall. We'll do some wagering with him. That's next.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See deal for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or 2. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, bamsports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with handicapping and sports talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you, and we talked some wagering earlier, but we got to get right back into it with Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. We just played the UT fight song to bring you in, so I'll start with that game. Tennessee going down to the Swamp in Florida to take on the Gators. Right now, I think last time I checked, about 5.5 is where the line's sitting at right now. What do you like for this game tomorrow night?
A little bit to Tennessee, Bryant, but I don't love it. Not too many spots in the SEC that I really love tomorrow, but I've been to Tennessee a little bit here. More anti-Florida. I need a little bit more evidence than beating up McNeese State. Now, Florida did show up last week at least, and Tennessee took a long time before it put Austin Peay away, just the way Kentucky took a long time to put Eastern Kentucky away. And a generally unimpressive effort across the board by most of the SEC last week. However, what Billy Napier, I think, should have been doing last week, instead of playing bully ball against McNeese, which is what he did, They need if they're going to do something in the SEC this year, Graham Mertz is going to have to do more than he did through the air in the opener against Utah. That was pretty ugly in the game against the Utes, and they just didn't work on that much last week. All they did was just play smash mouth against McNeese. That's not going to work against most SEC teams, and they've got to deal with this cheetah package that Josh Heupel has on his defense this year. I mean, it's like track sprint. It's like a sprint relay team they've got in their front seven on defense. They got so much speed up there. So they're going to cause Mertz some problems. I just don't have any faith in Florida's offense against an SEC defense, even Tennessee's, which was a little leaky last year against the pass. I'm just not sure Mertz can take advantage of it. Richardson had a pretty big game last year against Tennessee, and they rallied late to get inside the spread. But I think Joe Milton goes down there and wins. This has been a tough place in the swamp for Tennessee over the years, but they haven't played a Florida team this flawed in a while, in a long time. So 31-20, Tennessee. I'll give the Vols a vote tomorrow.
31-20, the Big Orange wins in the swamp. Last week, Bruce Marshall, at this time, he was 4-4 with us in college football, 3-0 in the NFL last week. We're going to get to the NFL. And Bruce, I am not at all disappointed in those picks. Those were that's good picking last week. But I am a little bit disappointed. I thought this would have been the perfect Bruce Marshall weekend to come see me and come see us in this area. You could have had Tigers Navy last night. Tomorrow morning, you could have had Bullies LSU at 11 in Starkville, and then gotten back to Oxford with me for Ole Miss and Georgia Tech at 6:30. With your absence, tell us what happens to those two games tomorrow in the state of Mississippi. 11 o'clock, LSU visiting Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field, to play the Bullies, and then 6:30, Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck in Oxford against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I should have come this weekend. Darn it. Well, we'll maybe do this in November instead.
Get on Air Force Bruce Marshall on BAM Sports Air Force One and head this way.
I should have this weekend. Well, let's talk about that game in Starkville tomorrow. I'm not loving. I think LSU's going to win. I'm not loving them laying this many points, though. I'm not sure what that proved against Grambling last week. I mean, the defense was still early in the game. Grambling was moving the ball, and then LSU got in gear, and they kept scoring. And I mean, the ghost of Eddie Robinson must not have liked running up 72 points on Grambling. But Mississippi State, I want to see Zach Arnett make a little bit better use of Mike Wright. I don't think he's hurt, but you've got to have this guy have more than one touch per game. And even if you risk alienating Will Rogers a little bit, you've got the most perfect change of pace quarterback in the country. Use him. Don't worry if Rogers is going to get his feelings hurt. This kid is a breakaway threat. I don't think there's one comparable in the country. Use him, Mississippi State. Don't let him sit on the bench. Don't worry about hurting Mike Wright's feelings. They use Wright. They might have a chance to win this game. As it is, though, I'll just take Mississippi State plus 30-24 LSU in that one. The Rebels tomorrow, I will tell you this. I don't think Georgia Tech's that bad. And Ole Miss last week, that was, I wish none of us knew that Pratt was going to be out when we were on the air this time last week for Tulane. And then he missed the game, and Ole Miss still struggled. They did get there in the end, but they needed a fumble recovery late, and they weren't running the ball too good last week. Georgia Tech ain't that bad. And, oh, by the way, Haynes King, we remember him from Texas A&M. I know he got hurt 2 years ago right at the start. Maybe he wasn't 100% all the way back last year. He sure looks better now than he did at Texas A&M. And so we want to kick Jimbo a little bit, maybe bring that up. I mean, he's playing better for Georgia Tech than he did for A&M. Already accounted for 7 TDs the first 2 games. When Brent Key took over last year, they went into Pitt and won. They went into North Carolina later in the season and won. Big underdogs both times. This guy has been an upgrade from Jeff Collins, a real upgrade. And I think they stick around tomorrow. I'm probably not going to win 34-24 Ole Miss, but I'll take Georgia Tech plus 17.5, 18 last I looked. So that's a lot of points to be given a very capable ACC visitor.
I'm giving you 18.5 because we don't have pushes, so you get the half with the 18 with Georgia Tech and Brent Key, the 5th Georgia Tech alum to take over coaching the Ramblin' Wreck, the late great Pepper Rogers, one of those as well, along with Bill Curry, one of those.
Yep, that's right.
Bruce, I want to ask you about a battle between undefeated teams tomorrow. Now, it's on Peacock. I have my complaints about this game being on Peacock, but Washington going to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. We know kind of everything that's been going on at Michigan State this week, but they're a 16.5-point favorite on the road. Washington is. What do you think about this game tomorrow afternoon?
Well, this is. I'm pretty sure Mel Tucker's coached his last game there, and bringing D'Antonio back is now Harlan Bennett's going to be the interim coach, but D'Antonio's sort of back to oversee things. Now, he used to be there, of course, and was a really outstanding coach for many years. Maybe that stabilizes things. Northwestern did a similar thing recently after the Fitzgerald fiasco there. They brought Skip Holtz in to kind of oversee everything and let Braun handle the defense and all. And Northwestern might have stabilized a bit. We'll see how this works for Michigan State. They stepped on the accelerator against two lesser teams the first couple of weeks. Noah Kim at quarterback. This still should have been Peyton Thorne's team. He transferred out late. And my thought was Michigan State was going to get its comeuppance when they started to play some better teams like Washington, which won this game handily last year, more handily than that score indicated in Seattle. I'm going to be honest, I'm not in love with this number. But if I had to do something here, I would take Washington and Michael Penix. This is the best deep ball offense in the country, I think, with Penix throwing deep. And they're fun to watch. All these teams that are throwing 5- and 6-yard passes like Michigan State does, Washington's going to be kind of refreshing. You're right. Neither Washington nor Michigan State has thrilled those games on the Peacock. They would rather be on the big NBC. But that's the way it goes. 38-17, I will take Washington here, but I don't love this one. It's not one of my favorite games of the week.
Bruce, you're not alone in kind of grudgingly picking these games this weekend. This weekend, the numbers are odd. The matchups are a little different. Next weekend feels like the big blockbuster weekend, and it feels like it's not a lot of value out there. Give me one name that you think is Mr. Perfect to replace Mel Tucker at Michigan State permanently.
Mike Elko.
Love that.
Ooh, that's good. Mine was Mark Stoops.
Another good one.
Yeah, it could be Mark Stoops, but one or the other. Elko could be too. I have a feeling Elko, it's going to be hard. Duke's, though, I mean, ACC is a little better league to stay in, maybe, but than the SEC, only because the competition there, Stoops is up against it. Stoops has got a really nice, the contract is set up there, and I think Kentucky's very happy with it. I know they love Elko at Duke, but it could be either one of those two. I'm going to lean to Elko a little bit. Now, they might be dreaming about Dion there. I don't think that's where Dion would go. But, Elko or Stoops, either one would be pretty good, I think.
And they've been at basketball schools, and I think primarily, maybe not the gap at Duke and Kentucky of being a basketball to football, but I think Michigan State, if you had to say it's one or the other, wouldn't you say it's a basketball school with Izzo?
Yeah, probably, though it's not been...
But not massive, yeah.
Not near as much as those others, especially when D'Antonio was there and he had them in the playoff.
In the playoffs.
Had them in a couple of Rose Bowls. Yeah, I mean...
So I went full Jim Moore there with playoffs, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it'd be very narrowly, but you're right, it's slightly a basketball school, but they haven't been doing great in the hoop side the last few years either, so it's ripe for a takeover there. Historically, it's been a football school long ago, so it could be again.
We're talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and his new website, bamsports.net. I want to get to another college football game tomorrow between two undefeated teams. Minnesota traveling to Chapel Hill, take on 20th-ranked North Carolina. Both teams come into the game 2-0, but Minnesota was real dicey in that first game against Nebraska. Right now, North Carolina favored by 7. That total sitting about 51. Do you like anything in this one?
A little bit to Minnesota here, believe it or not. I'm a little skeptical here on North Carolina. Look at Drake May's stats the first couple weeks. I mean, they are way down. Personally, I thought this was an uninspired offensive coordinator hire. bringing Chip Lindsey in. And I know that Mac Brown had maybe part of the process in hiring the coordinator because he was afraid he was going to lose him to the portal. And apparently they both agreed that Lindsey would be the guy. But darn, his numbers haven't looked that. I know they beat South Carolina, and maybe Longo's offense last year was just a little bit too full throttle last year. So, but I'm just not that in North Carolina. We'll see. Minnesota defensively, this is a real defense they've got, and I know that was very ugly in the first game. And the quarterback Plamakis is just, I mean, he's got to come on a little bit. Tanner Morgan was a multi-year starter there. The offense hasn't looked all that smooth, but darn, they play some defense there. And PJ Fleck's got a very good record as an underdog. Little lean there to Minnesota in that game. 24-20 North Carolina updated score forecast. I might lean a little to the Gophers there in the game. I might even tune in tomorrow. ACC Big Ten action in Chapel Hill.
And Bruce, tell our listeners how they can get all that information at bamsports.net.
Yeah, bamsports.net. I write up all these games like I used to do with the Gold Sheet, and we'll send it out to you at bamsports.net. Just go there and our website and give us your email, and we'll make sure you get next week's before we start to get the paywall up there pretty soon. Bamsports.net. You can also put my picks up at vegasinsider.com. 10-3 we were in the college picks last week at Vegas, college Saturday picks at vegasinsider.com.
Nice. And all your retrospectives, all your columns, all your great work, you can get it at bamsports.net?
Yeah, a lot of it. We're still loading up. The guys handling the website are actually in India, believe it or not, so we're having to get the communication with them, but they're doing okay, and it looks pretty good. So, hey, that's the way it goes these days. But, yeah, a lot of my old stuff up there, too, at bamsports.net.
Tomorrow in Fayetteville, the Razorbacks, 8.5-point favorites, 6:30 game Central Time on ESPN2. They won last year over BYU. The return game for BYU to Fayetteville. Arkansas is 2-0, BYU's 2-0. Those two 2-0s don't strike a lot of fear in anybody. How do you size this game up?
Yeah, and last year, I mean, I'm still a little shocked at that scoreline last year that Arkansas put 52 on BYU. That turned into a real wild 52-35 game. Now, last week, you guys tell me what would have been a worse game to watch, Arkansas, Kent State, or Air Force Sam Houston.
Oh,
I actually watched them both a little bit, so I felt like
I'll always go to worst with the wishbone, so I'm going to go Air Force Sam Houston.
I like that.
Yeah, it was like doing community service last week. But I think Arkansas was really just sleepwalking.
That wasn't community service. That's the Lord's work for us on Friday, you watching these games,
sure
Bruce.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was like, my penance last week. I had to watch those two. But I am not sure yet about Keaton Slovis and how he's upgraded this BYU offense. I'm not sure he has at all. And they had, speaking of Sam Houston, they had a lot of trouble the first week with Sam Houston. They 14-0, and that last score was late. Last year, Arkansas controlled the line of scrimmage. Jefferson had a big game. And I don't think BYU is going to come a lot closer than it did last year in Provo. So I would lean to Arkansas here to handle that price tomorrow. And listen, there are a lot of people weren't too thrilled watching the Razorbacks last week. They've heard about it. You guys know, you've heard it from the Razorback fans. Sam Pittman needs a better showing this week, and I think he'll get it against BYU like last year.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump over to the NFL on Sunday. A lot of intriguing matchups. I want to start with one of those 12 o'clock games. The Packers looked really good against the Bears last week, and the Falcons also opened up with a victory. So two teams coming in 1-0 right now. Atlanta, 1.5-point favorite. That total sitting at about 40. Do you like anything in this matchup?
Green Bay. I don't know why Atlanta's favored here. I don't want to get carried away by that game against Carolina. The rookie quarterbacks last week, 0-3. That counts Bryce Young. Two of them play each other this week in the Houston-Indy game. But Bryce wasn't ready last week. And, Ritter, not much more than a rookie himself. I know he's in his second year. But, when I was watching that game, I saw one pass he kind of threw downfield. Kyle Pitts made a nice catch. Everything was just dink and dunk. And they're letting Bijan run the ball, and that's not bad. Maybe this is what they're going to do right now, but they seem pretty limited. Jordan Love didn't look that limited last week, and this is a vote for, looking and learning for a couple of years. This is how Green Bay did it with Rodgers, and Brett Favre was there, and now they've done it the last few years with Jordan Love. Sitting and learning and watching a guy for a couple of years coming into the NFL is not always the worst thing, and Love looked very ready last week. He's played a lot in preseason in the past. He's the guy. And the Packers looked awfully good last week, and Love looked like he was ready. I think Green Bay is a spot here. I think, but they've been used to winning there, and maybe this is actually a shot of adrenaline for them to get the new quarterback. They looked good last week. I'll take Green Bay to win this thing outright. 23-14 score forecast. Pack down at Mercedes-Benz.
Bruce, I can't ever remember a team in the NFL going 3 straight at a level of Favre, Rodgers, and if Love did it with anybody going 3 straight. The Cowboys, Dandy Don, Craig Morton, then Roger Staubach. That was good, but that wasn't nailing. Can you ever remember a 2 or 3 straight combo better than Favre, Rodgers?
No, and it's about 30 years when you went with Favre and Rodgers there. About 92,
you knew who was playing
94.
quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've had about 2 guys for a long time, and I'd have to think a little bit before you come up with anything like that. But no, they've done it. And we'll see about Love. That's a pretty high bar. I don't think if they'd be happy if he was good. I don't know if they're expecting him to be another Rodgers, but he's certainly better this week, better than Desmond Ridder. Absolutely, I'll take Green Bay.
I definitely agree with you on that. Another offense that I was really excited to see coming into the season, I thought they could be maybe even a little better than they were last year, and that was the Seattle Seahawks, but just couldn't get anything going in Week 1. But now they're going up against the Lions. The Lions team coming off a long week after playing in Thursday Night Football last week and getting the win over the Chiefs. Right now, Lions 4.5-point favorites. Do you think the Lions can continue to roll in their first game back at home?
Not one of my favorites, but I would lean that way this week just because Detroit's now laying points. I'm still not 100% sold on Detroit, but I think they're probably the side here. I'm more worried about Seattle. And really last year, I thought the first half of last season, Pete Carroll did one of his best coaching jobs.
Oh, yeah.
His trademark rah-rah really worked to circle the wagons around that team, and get those guys to circle the wagons and punching way above their weight. But they started to lose steam the second half of the season. So did Geno, and they've now dropped 9 of their last 10 against the spread, including last week, awful against the Rams. That looked like a game Seattle played against the Rams way back in '79. If you might remember that, Brett, where the Seahawks had 1 first down the whole game. When Ray Malavasi was the Ram coach and Jack Patera was still at Seattle. It was really bad. They've also got their 2 tackles are probably out this week, and Geno's struggling a bit. So I'm going to lean a little to Detroit here. This is more a vote against Seattle right now, which I think is just sliding the wrong direction. I don't love it, but I'll lean to Detroit.
Bruce, a battle of Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in the AFC North. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The Bengals at home, a 3.5-point favorite after really getting whipped Week 1.
Yeah, and last year, these teams played in the playoffs, and the Ravens should have won that game. Lamar didn't play, remember? That was Tyler Huntley, and since he got that long fumble return in the fourth quarter, if there was ever a 14-point play, there it was, and they won that game 24-17. Joe Burrow's worst game ever last week in the NFL. And last year he had a bad, even worse than his opener last year. He threw 4 picks. They lost that game to the Steelers. He was even worse last week. What would concern me from Cincinnati, there's 2 things. One, Burrow, this is a little different. The fact he didn't play in preseason isn't that much of a deal. He probably wouldn't if he was healthy. But he had that leg injury, and he wasn't even taking snaps for most of preseason. He was working on just rehabbing, trying to get that leg well. And the backup quarterbacks like Browning were taking most of the snaps in the scrimmages in summer. He looked very rusty last week. They didn't look good. Also, I'm not convinced the Bengals are going to be a playoff team this year anyway. They lost Jesse Bates off the defense. He's now down in Atlanta. He was the real spiritual leader of that stop unit. So it's not a given for me. I sort of like the Ravens, even though Lamar still looked a little rusty himself last week. And, Dobbins getting hurt, not good, although, he's been hurt a lot the last couple of years. So I don't think that's going to impact Baltimore too much. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill will be fine. Melvin Gordon's going to get some carries. But I think the Bengals are in a little bit of trouble right now. 20-17 Ravens. I think Baltimore gets them this week.
Bruce Marshall says Ravens in that battle of Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Bruce, real quickly, give us a favorite NFL game or college game that we didn't get to, and then tell us how we can access more information about you at Vegas Insiders, at bamsports.net, or at CBS Sports.
Well, if Denver doesn't beat Washington this week, Sean Payton, he ought to move back to New Orleans. That was really. They should not have lost that game last week. He got Russ doing some things correctly in the first half, rolling him outside the pocket. For the second half, they didn't do that much. And there's just something about the Raiders and them that Denver finds a way to lose. I think they bounce back here. Washington had all sorts of trouble with Arizona last week. Sam Howell, I don't know that he's ready to be an NFL quarterback. If Denver can't handle 3.5 here, you got to scoop. So let's take Denver there. A couple quick ones in college. I'm going to take Georgia Southern with Clay Helton. Davis Brin, the ex-Tulsa gunslinger, will keep Georgia Southern within 20 up at Wisconsin. Luke Fickell, by the way, has only covered 3 of his last 15 games on the board back at Cincinnati now in Wisconsin, so his teams aren't offering a lot of value. And one other one, Cincinnati in the local battle against Miami O. I'm going to take the Bearcats and Scott Satterfield. I think he's got something cooking there. Emory Jones, his quarterback, you talk about a guy, bad luck the last 2 years. He was at Florida, and Dan Mullen was there when that thing unraveled. By the way, he was playing ahead of Anthony Richardson 2 years ago in Gainesville. Goes to Arizona State right when that unravels with Herm Edwards last year. He's got one more shot. He looks good thus far. He's accounted for 9 TDs the first 2 weeks. And that was a very nice win against Pitt last week. We also saw Miami O get hammered by Miami, Florida in the opener, and they haven't beaten their nearby rivals since 2005. So this has been a Cincy series. I'll take the Bearcats -14 tomorrow.
I like that. And, Bruce, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks. Check us out online, like we said, vegasinsider.com. All my picks up there. Picks also up there at CBS Sportsline, sportsline.com, and, of course, all my stuff, too, at bamsports.net.
Bruce, thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you. Bruce Marshall, the best, and we do wish him well this weekend. Sissy's Log Cabin, they're the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies, and that new location opening really soon at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. Some kind of blow in overnight and then gone. Not Sissy's Log Cabin, supporter of Tigers athletics. You listen to any Tigers game, you hear it, and you see it out at the stadium. You'll see it at FedEx Forum as well, and they're also a sponsor of ours on Monday as we look back at the weekend in the SEC. We'll do that again on Monday at 4:30. They're the Mid-South's largest selection. They have the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, wedding bands for that special time of your life. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more since 1970. With 6 locations across Arkansas and Tennessee, Sissy's offers a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum with the floor seat lounge. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and extraordinary experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some of these top 25 games and some of these games over the weekend in the SEC. We also got to get to our weekend bingo card. That's next.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital. Or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut. Or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We're in our family leisure studios, and we're getting ready for the weekend. College football, some games kicking off tonight, but really the full slate gets started tomorrow. And we've talked about, a lot of people have kind of pointed out, next weekend is a very good weekend of college football. This weekend, it feels like it's lacking a little bit. I still think there are some fun games, some fun contests, and kind of when you look in the SEC and the top 25, I mean, some that really jump out to me. Minnesota at North Carolina, I think I'm really intrigued about. We've talked about that. We just got done talking about it with Bruce, but I want to see more from both of these teams, especially Minnesota, and I think that should be a good game tomorrow afternoon on North Carolina. When you look at that spread, only about 7.5 right now. At least Vegas thinks it should be a close competitive game.
Those two teams, like a couple teams in the SEC, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, they're 2-0.
Yeah.
But back to kind of the dialogue after week one. What do we really know about these teams?
Yeah.
But we're starting to learn more, and again, every week's a test. But that's 2-2-0 teams that I don't know that a lot of people are looking at that and going, oh, man, look out for the Gophers.
No.
Or look out. I think people are aware of Drake May, but
Sure.
that's about it.
That's about it. And so, I really want to see something, and this could be an opportunity for one of those teams to try to separate themselves from the other. So that should be a fun one. That's on ESPN tomorrow at 2:30, I should say. Also, I mentioned it earlier, but Tyler Buckner, and you also made mention of it when we were talking about the American. Tyler Buckner going to make the start, it sounds like. He's taking more first-team reps this week in practice. It sounds like he's expected to start tomorrow for Alabama against USF. I know there was a lot of conversation after that game against Texas and kind of going into this week about some of the flaws on that team and a lot of talk about the quarterback play. But this still kind of surprised me this morning to see that Tyler Buckner would be the starter.
I didn't think Milroe was that bad.
I didn't think so either.
But I'm sure inside that building, watching that tape, they saw, and we saw open receivers. One particularly on a wheel route that he didn't get the ball on top of the receiver. I don't know how great the Bama receivers are.
Right.
I know how ballyhooed at the recruiting services that they were coming out, but that's for every Alabama player. Huh. That's one thing about it for Coach Saban right now. He's in charge of the secondary, arguably the greatest secondary coach in the history of the sport. It's had its struggles for a couple of years now. I think most of it is up front and not being able to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They don't have a great edge guy right now, or one hadn't emerged yet, and the season is still early.
Right.
And the recruiting, what's been Alabama's final ranking in recruiting? The very worst 3? The last
very
5
worst.
or 6 years?
Yeah.
So we're talking the hand-picked best players in the country, the best building, the best apparatus, the best physical plant, mechanics of any place out there, the best coach in the history of college football. And they have only lost 3 games the last 2 years, but everybody feels like more losses on the way. We'll see. It's just amazing. A guy that I would love to know when he hit town, I'm going to say around May 15th, 20th, after the year ended at Notre Dame. I'll bet you that was the first time in his life he'd ever been to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, Brett, I can guarantee it. I mean, I can guarantee he's never been to Tuscaloosa. But looking,
and it screams that Ty Simpson must not be able to do anything.
Just not there at all. Because I mean, that was kind of the name going into the season that everyone was like, okay, maybe they start one of these other guys, but Ty Simpson's going to be the guy, and he just hasn't shown that. But you talk about the recruiting rankings. If you go back and look since 2019 at some of these rankings, 1 in 2019, 2 in 2020, 1 in 2021, 2 in 2022, 1 in 2023, and right now they have the number 4 for the class of 2024, so next year. So you're right. I mean, all of these guys have been ranked the 5 stars, high 4-star guys. So, it is, I think, a little surprising when you talk about some of the flaws in this game, but I'm interested to see, how this team looks, and if obviously they're going to bounce back because they're playing South Florida. I don't think this is a game tomorrow. But how much fire do they play with? How does Tyler Buckner come out with that first team? And kind of what do we see from Alabama after a loss last week?
This almost would be one when here in a few minutes when we get into bingo card for the weekend. Yeah. Do we have that almost maniac look of red-faced and raising Cane on the sideline from Coach Saban? And that look, he's always had that. It really gets their attention. They really respond to it. Is this group of youngsters responding to it? And you almost get that look when he has to play that look now of, I may not be getting to them like I used to.
Yeah, I mean, it might be.
Kids these days.
That's right. That's exactly right. But, I mean, that's kind of that worries me about this team if he can't get to them. I mean, this is the greatest coach of all time. And so.
And you may never get another collection like that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Bama group, and even past that. But, Barrett Jones and Nico Johnson and Mark Ingram and Julio Jones and so many others, so many others through the years. A guy like William Vallejos, those people would chew their arm off to win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think
their own arm, never mind yours. They just tear yours off.
That's right. So I don't think a lot of people, expected this many flaws with that team, this many question marks around the field, both offensively and defensively. So, I kind of wish they started conference play after that loss. I just feel like it's kind of
start soon enough next week against Ole Miss.
That's true.
Don't rush it.
That's true. But I just wish we didn't have a game. Maybe I should say I wish they.
Man, they'll be all mad next weekend.
Oh man. Maybe I should say I wish they were playing somebody higher caliber than USF this week, because I don't know how much of a glimpse we'll be able to see of that bounce back and some of those corrections they've made against USF.
I'll get it in a couple of times next week in a lot of areas, but I'm glad Ole Miss is playing them early. I like to play them early, if for no other reason, get it over with.
Yes. I
win or lose, and Ole Miss has won in that spot in 2015. It was a little bit later in 2014, but then when it's over, and last year you could say Bama beat Ole Miss a couple of times last year.
Mm-hmm.
That day, the week after, maybe the bowl game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's you're right. It'll start soon enough. But when you're looking at the top 25, I think there are some intriguing games. We talked about the game earlier in the day between Minnesota and North Carolina, but game day is going to be there. Big noon kickoff's going to be there. The whole world is going to be watching Colorado and Colorado State tomorrow night. It's going to be a massive game.
Metro Goldwyn Mayer is going to be there. I mean, studios are going to be there. I mean, you'll have them all there, and he's earned it, and he's going to, I think, put one on Jay Norvell in Colorado State. And if it gets to be a laugher at the end and they're running it up, I don't think people need to ask why.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Deion kind of wants to set the tone for his team and for other coaches.
Norvell wrote a big old check with his mouth this week.
Oh, he sure did. And like I said, I mean, I think he wants to set the tone of, look, these coaches can talk all they want, but we're going to prove it on the field. The only time you've seen Deion talk since then, and plenty of opportunities, was all over ESPN Today. The only time you've seen him talk in reference to Jay Norvell has been at practice to his players, and I like that approach. I mean, I like that. I'm going to show it on the field. We're going to prove it on the field.
And this is a guy that's always talked a lot,
yes,
but he's always backed it up.
Always backed it up, and he's backing it up. Before we get to our bingo cards, I do want to jump to the NFL just real quick, kind of talk about some of these matchups. What is kind of the biggest thing you're going to be looking for on Sunday in these games?
Joe Burrow, see if he can bounce back, or if it's lingering from injury or just just a lot of changes with Cincinnati. Also, the idea of a 0-2 start for Joe Burrow and the idea of a 0-2 start for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And the idea of the Super Bowl parade being planned in Dallas for the Cowboys.
Well, we know that's already in works.
Yeah, already done. Ring sizes, you already sent them in?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was measuring last night, just making sure we're all good to go.
You got a ring size measure at the house?
That's right. Well, I ordered it just for this. We didn't have it just sitting around or anything. Don't be silly,
especially sent it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really curious to see this afternoon game between the Giants and the Cardinals. I mean, you have the Cardinals. They're very upfront about the fact that they do not want to win a lot of games this year. But for the Giants, after that lopsided game last week against Dallas at home, I want to see how they can bounce back. I mean, this is a team that went to the playoffs last year, a team that it seemed like was moving in the right direction last week. So I want to see what the bounce back looks like if last week was
offense.
Oh yeah, because they just couldn't get anything going last week. Maybe that's just Dallas defense is extremely dynamic, but I want to see something from the Giants this week.
Very true. All right, bingo card time, something we think will be said, heard, done over the next 2 days around football, NFL, or college. I'm going to start with this. I think it is a new rule regarding any game played at Mizzou between in Columbia with the Missouri Tigers. Is it a rule? And I think it is. So mark it on your card. The references to Como.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time.
Wow.
Yeah. It happens a lot.
Next one for me, bingo card for me, and it's one of my favorites these days. When the analyst talks about 12 personnel.
Oh, yeah.
I think most people that watch a lot of football have caught on to that now. And the analyst, when explaining the 12 personnel of one running back, two tight end, it's like he's come up with the theory of relativity. 12 personnel is one running back, two tight ends.
They get all excited about it, yes.
I knew that. I knew that. Y'all didn't.
Right. Let me teach you.
Another one for me coming up over the long weekend will be for Pat McAfee on game day. The Austin Powers look, the chest hair is just really randy.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. It's groovy, all right.
Instead of the button down to the fourth button, Pat, just go ahead and eschew the shirt. Just go up there topless.
No shirt, shirtless for Pat. Okay.
And tomorrow night late, you will get a lot of references to Joe Milton's arm strength and that he can, on his knees, throw it 900 yards.
Yeah.
Tennessee needs him completing passes, not just seeing if he can, win a long passing contest. How about for you?
All right, for me, I'm going to go with 2 college and 2 pro. For my first one, The Rock is the guest picker tomorrow morning on game day. You're going to get a can you smell what The Rock is cooking while he's either up there and the eye look. You're going to get that from The Rock while he's up there before or during picks. So
do they have a throwdown with him and the punter?
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, that would be awesome if they did something.
They call it a show.
Exactly. A bit almost, as you could call it in showbiz. But no, that would be even better. But I think you can mark that off early tomorrow. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? My second one, seeing a bodacious sign up. Brett, I am so tired. Every time I flip on game day, even on my computer, Brett, I get ads that say bodacious on the top for Bo Nix in his Heisman campaign. I don't know what kind of money they're paying these people to support Bo Nix and his Heisman hopes, but they're getting their money's worth because I see it all over the place. You're going to see a bodacious sign maybe first thing when you wake up and turn on game day. Number 3, people on social media wanting to bench Ryan Tannehill and calling him a bad quarterback. It already started last week. I think you're just going to get more of it this week, and I think it's going to go on all season long, so pay attention to social media for that one on Sunday. And then my final one, rookie comparisons and determining who's the better rookie quarterback based on the outcome of Indianapolis and Houston. Anthony Richardson versus
a little early
C.J.
for
Stroud.
that, though, but I think you're right. They'll be forced to do
There's
it.
going to be those burning takes on social media of, the Colts won. Anthony Richardson's the better quarterback, and it's going to be ridiculous, but I think it's going to happen.
One more easy one for me. It was early last week, the perfunctory Jerry Jones booth shot.
Oh, yeah.
I think second. It's a distant second behind Jerry Jones, but Sunday Night Football, big game Bobby Kraft. They got to show him in the booth,
absolutely.
too. Absolutely. And think about it. You never see the Houston Texans owner in the booth.
Nope.
You never see the Chargers owner in the booth. You never see the Denver Bronco owner. You get Jones booth shot. You
Every
get
time.
Kraft and family
Every
booth
single
shot.
time.
You can set up for it. And drinking game on Sunday, don't even try it, people. Please don't. It'll be renal kidney failure. The number of times Aaron Rodgers gets mentioned, it's going to be a lot.
All over the place.
I know fall is here, and it feels great outside. It was so good this morning. You can head to Olive Branch to All-Star Chevrolet, open all weekend. First exit into Mississippi on Highway 78. That's Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. And you can get a new 23 Silverado. You can get financing as low as 0 interest in 3 months with no payment. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. Drive a Silverado or one of the new Traverse. See Jeff or Kevin if you want to do a custom order. And if you're a first responder, recent college grad, healthcare professional, educator, military, September is your month for bonus cash and more at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. See Kevin or Jeff. They asked me to thank everyone for bringing your cars and trucks to All-Star to sell. All-Star paying great cash, and you can get a check today, even if you still owe money against it, even if you didn't buy it at All-Star. They're certified and pre-owned lot. It is loaded. Lots of Silverados, Ram trucks, a Denali, an F-150, F-150, a great-looking Mercedes, all there for you at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. If you need service or maintenance, call Sean or Jeff in the All-Star Chevy Service Department. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Bartlett, Mount Moriah, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads today to All-Star Chevy or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678-605, MSRP 21610, Nero, P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit dealers.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Randy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with the 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA, estimated range $269 a month, $49.99 due at signing. And the 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 due at signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase, all 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
cooling or heating system on the fritz? Dripping faucet? Call the pros at Conway Services today and we'll waive the service call fee with any HVAC or plumbing repair. Expert technicians available 7 days a week. Call 384-3511 to schedule your appointment. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19688.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I'll start with my big number of the day. It comes from the Thursday night football game last night between the Vikings and the Eagles. 2 is my big number today. Kirk Cousins is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 700-plus yards on 70% completions over the first 2 games of a season and lose both games.
Whoa.
How about that?
He's been good. It hadn't been his fault, and he doesn't play defense.
No, it hadn't been his fault at all. I mean, he's been, like I just said, 700 yards, 70% completion. He's been doing his job.
Hot Take TV they were talking about at trade deadline time, maybe him being dealt somewhere else and to the Jets could possibly be in play. My big number is 10. That's 10 years since the last time Alabama lost back-to-back games in back-to-back. No, just in general, they lost 2 in that year, but that was the kick 6. And then in the bowl game, the last time to lose in back-to-back weeks, it was 2007, Coach Nick Saban's first year at Alabama, when they lost 4 straight. Whoa. Lost to LSU in a wild one. I was at that game.
Were you really?
The next week they lose to Sylvester Croom in Mississippi State. Then they lose to ULM, and then they lost the Iron Bowl to Auburn. They really got it right from that point on.
Sure did.
Won the Independence Bowl that year, and the rest is history. But 10 years just losing back-to-back at any time, but a long time ago since doing it in back-to-back weeks. I don't think anybody thinks they're going to lose tomorrow, though.
No, I don't think so. I think people think it's going to be a pretty easy victory if I had to guess. But you're right. I mean, I guess there's always that possibility out there. Never say never, right?
They need tomorrow. I mean, with the change at quarterback, they're trying to get him ready for next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is a tune-up game
play.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And really see if this is the guy they want to stick with. I'll throw out another one. How about 15? Today is September 15th. It is also Roberto Clemente Day in Major League Baseball. For us, we're not really watching the Cardinals right now, but still a lot of good baseball going on. But, Brett, we're down to 16-0. I mean, we just use 16 more games for the Cardinals, and they'll finish 500. That's right. I mean, so there's still a chance, Brett. You never know.
Braves already wrapped it up very early. I think they're the team to beat. And for the Cardinals today, with the announcement, Oliver Marmol will be the skipper again next year. John Mozeliak made that official. And if they have to fire him in May, then everybody goes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talked about that yesterday. If you fire one of them, you're not just, or if you fire, if you make the firing, I guess I should say.
The DeWitts fire everybody.
It's everybody. I mean, you cannot just continue this cycle of firing managers and thinking that it's their fault, because it's clearly there's more people at fault. You have 2 All-Stars, 2 Hall of Fame guys at the corner of your infield, and a bunch of young, productive players, and you can't do anything. It's crazy.
If they're 22-38 on Memorial Day, he's gone.
I think you're right. But hey, I guess he'll at least get to start the season as the skipper for the Cardinals. I told you about 117 Prime a little earlier, but now I want to tell you about Bell Tavern, located at 117 Barbaro Alley, just right behind 117 Prime. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that's the opposite of Bell Tavern. It's your neighborhood bar. Start your night with a gourmet burger and one of the great cocktails in a quiet, dimly lit bar that you can enjoy a game at with your friends. And it's not just the burgers. Bell Tavern has the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. You know 117 Prime, just walk through their dining room and you're at the best bar in town. For more information about our friends at Bell Tavern, call 901-249-6580 or go online to belltavern.com. Let's wrap up this second hour. When we come back, we'll talk some Arkansas football with Ty Richardson.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot & Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. Time to talk Razorbacks on Sports Time. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Ty Richardson joining us now from ESPN Arkansas to talk about the Razorbacks. In Arkansas, they enter this week 2-0, but a tougher test this week against BYU. Ty, thanks for joining us. What is the atmosphere like around town getting ready to welcome BYU?
Well, it's pretty vibrant. I mean, BYU's going to probably bring between 7,000 and 10,000 fans, guys. Wow. They've got a really good fan base. And I can't wait. Brett, I know they're going to Oxford coming up these next few years, so you'll get to experience BYU as well.
I've had the BYU experience. When Houston Nutt was head coach at Ole Miss, we opened against BYU one year, and you can get ready for this. And there were reports of it last year. There's a lot of something at the bottom of the pile with BYU, and they reach for a handful.
Oh, geez. Well, I guess the players are going to have to deal with that. They put out this video earlier this week of the players in Brigham Young not knowing where Arkansas is in Provo, so they're looking at a map. So there's some added, I think, incentive this week, and it's just the first Power 5 team of the season. So should be a lot of fun, guys. I can't wait till tomorrow night at 6:30.
Saturday night, Razorback Stadium. Don't have to get up and do all that in the morning, the all-day tailgate. It should be a lot of fun. And, boy, I mean, sun splashed across the country for tomorrow. Everybody will really, really enjoy themselves.
Oh, no question. I mean, week 3, guys, to be perfectly honest, not a great week. No top 25 matchups. I know College Game Day and Fox is focused on what's going on in Boulder right now with Deion Sanders in Oregon, in Colorado. But I mean, next week, week 4, we've got Titanic matchups. We've got Ole Miss and Alabama. We've got Oregon hosting Colorado. Arkansas is playing in Death Valley. So hoping Arkansas doesn't stub their toe this week so we can make it the next week undefeated and kind of see what happens.
Ty, I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about sloppy performances from Arkansas to start the season, even though we're only in week 3. Some people are kind of wondering about the sloppy start for Arkansas. How do you think they respond this week, like you said, against a Power 5 team?
I think they're going to cover, win by double digits. Do I think it's going to be 21 plus? No, but I think it's going to be kind of within maybe a 2 touchdown to 17 points. I think they're kind of tired and frustrated. Defense has played really well. Offense looked good passing-wise week 1, not good in week 2. So there's some areas they got to improve. They're still trying to tinker with the offensive line a little bit. But I mean, after a certain while, you get annoyed. Like Alabama's heard about how bad they are all week after losing to Texas. They're going to go down to Tampa, Florida, and annihilate the South Florida Bulls, I think.
I think so, too. For the Razorbacks, what's the concern level for Rocket Sanders? Good friend of mine says by the end of the year he doesn't think he'll have 50 touches. And I told him, I said, don't get this despairing this early in the year. How concerned are you?
Your friend sounds like Eeyore, Brett.
Yeah.
I will say I think they're downplaying it a little bit. Initially it was, might not be back for BYU, and now it's like, he's probably not going to be back for LSU. I don't know what he's dealing with outside of it. Swelling in the knee, that's what we've heard. I don't think he's going to be ready for Death Valley next week, and I'd honestly be surprised if he's ready for Jerry World when they take on Texas A&M the following week. I don't know if I'll go as far to say that he won't get 50 touches, but I do think the injury is more severe than this team's letting on.
And Ty, we know almost just systemic in every program how they, I'm going to be nice about this, how they fib about injuries and play the cat and mouse game. But at that position at running back, college and pro now, there's just so few that really want to do it. In the pros, you had the backlash from the running backs on how they think they're treated on salary. In college, it could be Rocket Sanders, it could be Quinshon Judkins, it could be any big-time running back. It could have been Bijan Robinson a year ago at the other UT. If you have that injury and you carry the injury out, say, to week 7 or 8, and then you're deemed well, I can see a lot of players going, okay, I'm well, and the next time this knee gets hit is when I'm in the pros. I'm not playing a down. That could happen.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, and I don't think it's just the running back position, but some others. That's the one because of the pay that people are probably most intrigued by. But I've seen we saw the Philadelphia Eagles last night do the running back by committee, where several guys. I know they picked up DeAndre Swift in the offseason, former Auburn running back, Georgia. But there's more teams doing that now, where it's not just one outstanding tailback.
Mm-hmm.
They've got several guys they feel like they can feed the ball, and you spread out the salary that way, it helps it out. So I'm really curious to see how successful NFL franchises approach that position, because kind of like you said, I think running backs in college might kind of change their trajectory their junior year based on what's going on.
Ty, one thing I've noticed through these first two games is a lot of penalties to start the year for Arkansas. I think in terms of penalty yards, they're outside the top 90, and for flags per game, they're outside the top 50. What have you seen on the penalty front from this team, and do you expect it I know they cut down on them last week. Do you expect that to continue to cut down on those penalties?
I think it was year one where Sam Pittman actually had his least penalized team. That doesn't sound right, but year two, even though it was their best season, they were pretty heavy penalized. Last year, they were, I think, in the 70s or 60s, which isn't great. It's not horrible either. But, Arkansas has some issues, so penalties just don't need to be on. Now they're doing great.
Right.
And the turnover, number one in the country, tied right now with a couple other teams. They are 5 for 5, I think, in the red zone. They've scored touchdowns in every possession. So if you're going to struggle in penalties, you got to make it up somewhere else, and hopefully they continue to do that.
Especially in the absence of Rocket Sanders, it feels like the weight of the Arkansas program is falling on KJ Jefferson's very big and very capable shoulders. Without Rocket, after KJ Jefferson, who's the offensive player the Razorbacks need to really start helping out?
I'd say it's one of the wide receivers. They got this kid named Isaac Tesla who they brought in from Hillsdale College, and he's made two of the best catches I've seen in a while. Wide receiver make. He's just got hands, and I've liked what I've seen from Andrew Armstrong and some of the other guys. But in AJ Green, they're good running. Their backup running back from Tulsa. He's another guy that they'd really like to continue to produce. But if I had to pick out one, it'd probably be Tesla, where how some quarterbacks just have a guy they're willing to throw the ball up to in any situation. Tesla 6'4". Bruce Feldman had him on his freaks list at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And thus so far, he hasn't put up like mind-boggling numbers, but he's made some catches that have made you question your vision a little bit.
Did you think we'd ever see a transfer into the SEC from Hillsdale College? And at Hillsdale College, what a contrast between that school and kind of their rules and Fayetteville. I don't think you can dance or hold hands at Hillsdale College.
Is that really so? It's similar like Harding Academy,
like Bob Jones University, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. No, I didn't. I was unaware of that kind of background and everything. Yeah, Fayetteville's as you know, Brett, as you experienced.
You dance there, trust me.
Yeah, you do a lot of things there, but as you do in Memphis, Ole Miss, Tuscaloosa. But yeah, that's he's evidently being a teammate that people have really adapted and liked, which is always good as a transfer. You don't want. And one of the things, this was under the radar last year, and it really didn't get talked about till the end of the season or last season, is the chemistry didn't gel last year. And I know it's the beginning of the season, and I know that it's pretty positive at this point for most college football programs, and things kind of come out at the tail end. But this team seems to be gelling right now. You didn't have that within the entirety of the season last year, and hopefully this team does much better in that area than last year's team did.
Ty, we talked a little bit about the offense, but defensively, you've talked about those turnovers they forced. But a guy, Jaheim Thomas, that I've heard watching these games, you hear his name a lot. He's leading the team in tackles right now. A transfer in from Cincinnati. I remember hearing his name last year when Cincinnati was in the American. What have you thought about him so far through the season?
He's been fantastic, Brian. He's, like you said, leading the team in tackles. He's been their most consistent, not just linebacker, but defensive player. You can make a case that him or Isaac Tesla have been the most important transfers added to this point.
Yeah.
And initially, I don't know if his name was necessarily as a guy that people considered that he was going to have to start, but he'll start tomorrow along with probably Chris Pupol. So I think Arkansas, they that when they evaluated him, they got to do it not just on tape of other teams, but when they played Arkansas. And I think he had 8 or 9 tackles when they came to Fayetteville last year. So, I mean, he showed up as an opponent and he showed up as a teammate so far in 2 games in 2023.
Ty, every year we hit a point where it feels like SEC Media Days was a million years ago. This year, I think it comes a little early for me in that feeling. And when we're at SEC Media Days, we're trying to, as best we can, evaluate the season and have a take and have an opinion. We're paid to do that. I don't ever try to do it in a know-it-all fashion. Just, I'm there and I'm supposed to come up with something and have an opinion. It feels like all that's re-kilter. The whole deck of cards kind of redeal them right now. Do you have that feeling about that year? But this year, is it because Bama looks gettable?
I think this is the most wide open the SEC has been in 10 plus years. I mean, you think about some of the Alabama and LSU teams that we've seen come through. I mean, I know Auburn a couple years back beat Georgia and Alabama in the regular season, then went on to lose to them in the SEC championship game. But, I mean, this just makes it more fun. I mean, I think there's a lot of Ole Miss fans thinking right now that, hey, we can win the West and get to the championship for the first time ever. There's Mississippi State fans that feel that way. There's Arkansas fans. There's, of course, still Alabama and LSU fans that feel like, hey, you know what, we lost early. We can still get it done. There's A&M fans that are licking their chops for that game coming up in the 12th man when they host Alabama. Hey, we can get them again under Jimbo the second time. So I 100% feel that way. As far as the East goes, I think South Carolina's going to get thrashed tomorrow. Georgia's going to put a beat down on them. I do think Tennessee's going to also crush Florida for the first time in 20 years or whatever it is. I'm just looking forward to that Tennessee-Georgia matchup we have coming up in November, guys.
Oh, yeah. And it happened last year. LSU won the West last year with 2 losses. I feel like that's almost a certainty this year that the winner of the West will be 2 with 2 losses.
I do too, and I've advocated that it could be 3. I mean, you could have a tiebreaker 3 different ways, and what I've said is that helps Arkansas. It helps Ole Miss. It helps Mississippi State.
Hey, how about us? Yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely. I mean, just when you have a dominant team in the West, you typically say, "Oh, it's Alabama or LSU." It's just expected. Like there hasn't necessarily been just a dominant team, and I guess you'd say Auburn in 2010. But outside of that, these last 2 decades, the only dominant team in the West has been wearing purple and gold or crimson and white. And now these other teams are kind of looking around. These coaches won't say this. They're thinking, man, we actually got a true shot this year. Now, I don't know if Arkansas's roster has what it takes this season. I hate that game isn't. I'm excited to see you in Oxford, but I wish that game was in Fayetteville again this year. But there's a lot of fan bases that feel confident about not necessarily their team, but just the way the SEC West is right now.
Yeah. Well, Ty, I'm not sure how much you've been able to see of Tennessee through their first 2 games, but I've heard a lot of people here locally kind of be a little worried about this Tennessee offense that we all hyped up in the offseason about what it could be. And now through 2 games, I've heard some people a little pessimistic about it. Now they're going to go down to the Swamp and play Florida. What have you thought about this Tennessee offense through 2 games?
Well, I think for Tennessee, you looked really good in that first game against Virginia, and then you look bad against Austin Peay. I mean, that's what Arkansas did. Look really good in the first game, bad in the second game. And, I mean, there's a letdown. Now you take on them. They were looking ahead to this week, guys.
Sure.
And they hadn't won this game in the Swamp. And, again, it's either 20-plus years or 20 years, whatever it is. So, I mean, I know Coach Heupel was trying to gear those guys up, but they didn't care about Austin Peay. They're ready to play the Gators. And Joe Milton's not as accurate as Hendon Hooker. He's got a bigger arm, stronger arm, but he's not as accurate. He's also missing Jalen Hyatt, which Hendon had the luxury of. And I know there's Squirrel Williams and some other guys, but you do have a 3-headed monster at running back. Anytime you can run the ball in the SEC, something's good. I don't expect Tennessee fans to feel unsure about their football team after what happens in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium tomorrow.
Ty Richardson with us from ESPN Arkansas on all things Razorbacks and the SEC. And last weekend, there was the induction class for this year's honorees for the Arkansas Razorback Sports Hall of Fame, and it was a great list, but one of the prominent names on the list was former head coach and former player Houston Nutt. How was the reception? All forgiven, all forgotten for Houston Dale Nutt, a really fine fella.
Yeah, he got a standing ovation, and he still knows how to draw a crowd. Got his Felix Jones also got honored, one of his running backs, and he brought the guys up there. And I mean, he has, and I have the luxury of working with Matt Jones every single day, former Arkansas quarterback, and I know gives PTSD to some Ole Miss fans listening right now, a lot of SEC fans, frankly. But he spoke to what Coach Nutt was as a motivator and just a locker room guy. And I know there's some other stuff, X's and O's, and various other things that aren't some Arkansas fans aren't the biggest fan of. But I mean, I just love hearing him talk, and I can't say that about every coach. So yeah, he definitely got a huge reception this past Friday night. Right? I mean, he's still well liked. Now there's still some harbored bad feelings based on what happened in 06 and 07 and various other things, but man, he still delivers every time like he probably does at Oxford too.
Do you think the contempt, the bad feelings, that's mostly still centered around Springdale and Mitch Mustaine and Gus and all that?
Oh, no question. I mean, Central Arkansas loves Houston Nutt. I mean, that's where he's from.
Yeah.
He loves War Memorial. Northwest Arkansas
loves Emmanuel Baptist Church in Little Rock.
Yeah. But then again, Northwest Arkansas, specifically in the Springdale area, there's still bad blood, and I understand it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he probably isn't wanting to still touch on at this point because it's nearly 2 decades past when it happened, and there's just various things that went on. The fact that team, with all that turmoil, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, still somehow, some way got to the SEC championship game with the talent they had on that roster is remarkable. And it will go down as one of the crazier stories the last couple decades in the SEC, what went on behind the scenes for Arkansas boosters, parents, and that football team in 2006.
I don't know that the fan base has recovered, and it's why I hold in such contempt Gus Malzahn and other parties involved in that, but I thought he was the ringleader of it. I thought that if you wanted to draw up the top 10 list of people that helped divide the Razorback fan base, I would have to put Gus Malzahn at the top, Ty.
Yeah, I know people, again, that name comes up. He's a very polarizing figure. I mean, I think Gus Malzahn, there's some things that he hadn't initially adjusted to. Initially, he's one of the best offensive minds as soon as he had college football. I mean, you roll in from a 7A high school coach.
Yeah,
all of a sudden
he took his shot. He definitely took his shot.
And then everything changed. There's definitely some malcontent there, Brett. There's no question about it. It would be awkward, though, to just have to hire somebody. You're basically forced, which is essentially what Frank made Coach Nutt do. It's like, hey, you got to get these guys, or it's not going to go well for you. And I'm not privy to every conversation that was had. That's kind of the overarching theme of what I've heard. And I mean, it was a forced hire, and it was a forced marriage. And we know sometimes forced marriages work, and that one didn't. I guess it did on the surface, but it did not behind the scenes.
No, you're definitely right. Well, Ty, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy BYU and Arkansas tomorrow, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
I can't wait, guys. Hey, 3 weeks, Brett Sussey, man. Can't wait to see you in Oxford, buddy.
I am ready, Ty. Good luck to the Razorbacks this weekend. Yep. Thank you, Ty.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you, fellas.
You got it. Ty Richardson with us from Northwest Arkansas on all things Razorbacks. And that year, 2006, Arkansas got blasted by USC early in that year and then whipped off 10 straight wins and had sealed the SEC West and headed to the game in Atlanta, then lost a heartbreaker the day after Thanksgiving in Little Rock to a really good LSU team. Yeah. So they go into the SEC championship game 10-2. And face Urban Meyer in Florida, and they have them beat. They have Florida out of timeouts. Urban Meyer had called the last timeout, then had the punt return miscue, and Florida able to come back and win. Florida goes on and wins the national championship. So from 10-1, lose to LSU, lose to Florida, go to the bowl game, and lose to Brett Bielema, Wisconsin. Wow. So the dream season, game day there late in the year against Tennessee, Lance Allworth honored and wearing his leather jacket on the field, everything feeling great, 10-1, and then it dissolved into 10-4 and a family feud that, frankly, I don't think the Razorback fan base recovered from it. At the same time, on the parallel kind of fighting two wars at once was the whole stadium issue of, to remain in games in Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas, and Houston Nutt got dragged into that, and then 2007 was his last year. There are a lot of documentaries out there. The documentary about Mitch Mustaine, it is out there and it's prominent. It's very critical of my friend Houston Nutt. But one of these days, I think he'll tell his side, and he's got a side to tell.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But, for Arkansas this weekend, we talked a lot with Ty about this game against BYU, but you kind of look forward, you look ahead, and obviously Arkansas can't look ahead with a couple of sloppy games to start the season, but this is a tough 5-game stretch. BYU at home, at LSU, home against Texas A&M, then back-to-back at Ole Miss and at Alabama. I mean, that's brutal. And so,
and then State coming to play.
And then State right after that. So, I mean, that's really hard. And when, Ty talked about kind of the slow offense to start the season, the penalties, I mean, you're not going to be able to get away with all that. You could get away with it against Kent State and Western Carolina, those first 2 games. But these next 5 games, you're not going to be able to get away with that stuff.
Yeah, preseason I had tomorrow being a Razorback win, and we get to our picks. I'm still going to have to be a win, but I think that point spread is right on. But then that next 5, I've got 1 and 4. But again, that reshuffle of the cards, that it now all looks a little different than it did when we even did these picks, and for sure at SEC Media Days. But we've all been on that. Everybody that's been on an airplane, they've had that flight that when you land, you all but want to kiss the ground. You're so glad you're back on earth. I think the Razorbacks heading into that open date around Halloween, they'll be ready to kiss the ground and be glad to get to open date.
Brett, as somebody who has never flown on a plane or has memories of flying on a plane, that's not what I want to hear about flying on planes.
Well, you're going to have one of those.
That's right.
Now, I had a real white knuckler, real scary one time leaving Memphis, bound for Washington D.C. Spring break, 1987.
Oh man!
Engine blows at 3,000 feet, man. It sounded like the plane had broken in half.
Geez.
And I mean, everybody on there thinking this is it.
This is the end. Yeah.
This is exactly it. On that flight, about 6 rows in front of me, and on the inside seat, and I'm telling you, cool as he could be, was Senator Al Gore. If he had been elected president, it was going to make the book that David Marinus was going to write about him if he had won. Because I told David Marinus that story. I mean, he was fine. He was the coolest guy on the whole plane. I was not. And when we got back to the gate, I called my parents and told them what had happened, and long delay until I get on the next one. And I said to my dad, I said, I'm not getting on the next one. He said, yes, you are, because that's never going to happen again. You've had your real scary one. Get back like a bicycle. Get back on there.
Sure. Yeah. No. But you're right. For Arkansas, you talked about what you have them going the next 5. These next 5 conference games after BYU. I mean, I'm right there with you. I have them 2 and 3 in the preseason picks, and I don't think I'm changing much of that going in. It might come a little differently, but it could be a tough stretch. And so I think tomorrow, if you're Arkansas, you really got to solidify a lot of things. Another thing that we didn't have a chance to bring up with Ty, and I was surprised seeing this earlier today, they have not kicked a field goal this season. It's only been extra points. They haven't had to settle for a field goal this year, so that'll be interesting. We'll see if it happens tomorrow, but I don't know if you want to go into conference play not attempting a field goal yet in the season.
Mi casa, su casa on any game note like that. Can I use that tomorrow pregame?
Absolutely.
Arkansas hadn't kicked a field goal this year?
Absolutely. We are a team, Brett.
Thank you. We are a team. Thank you very much, Bryant. I will use it tomorrow. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, Laura, what a great team they are. They own the place, known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team, any season. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe, rubber boots. Won't need those tomorrow in any stadium tailgating in these parts because the weather's going to be perfect. Boots for every occasion. Be a lot of great boots. Cowboy and cowgirl boots in the Grove tomorrow, all bought, we hope, at Hewlett & Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Anderson Bean, Dan Post, Ariat, whether for men or for women. And they also have men and women's clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invites you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com. They're on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapback cool hats you can think of. A lot last night at the Tigers game. Mississippi State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, the Razorbacks all represented. And for travel, the bag selection is top notch. HewlettDunn.com, but visit and say hello. 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn.
Well, Brett, we've talked a lot of football today. We've broken down a lot of these games. We've gotten picks from our guests, but you know what we got to do now? We got to get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. That's next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Howdy, folks. Dominic Cunha, General Manager at Sunrise Buick GMC on Covington Pike. Our Western Trading Day sales event is here again. My ranch managers have been instructed to slash prices, so if you're looking for a great deal, don't look any further. New Buicks and GMCs, discounts up to $6,500 and a $12 million used car inventory. The Sunrise Ranch on the Pike is the place to go. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing and used cars below $69.95. Visit us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person at 1800 Covington Pike.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bell Tavern is waiting for you this Saturday. Well, Bell Tavern is waiting for you all the time, but this Saturday and the next bunch of Saturdays are different because these Saturdays we have college football. We say it all the time. Bell Tavern, Memphis's downtown neighborhood bar, is not a sports bar. It's a great bar that happens to have sports on the TVs. Lots of high-def TVs. You don't want to go watch your favorite college team in some chain restaurant. You want to go to Bell Tavern where you can enjoy the game, make some friends, and have some of the best cocktails in Memphis. That's what you want.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See deal for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life.
We get started tomorrow bright and early, 11 o'clock on ESPN down in Starkville. That'll be a fun scene. SEC Nation there today. It's looked like a lot of fun. First of all, the weather forecast tomorrow. I'm gonna go full meteorology, full Jim Cantori here. It's going to be perfect. About all these games, we're picking either sun splashed or really cooler weather, and it feels so good. Eli Savoy said this morning that last night out at the Tigers game that he thought that was the most ideal, perfect, whatever that is, that should have been the test tube for college football weather. That it was just ideal last night for the Tigers. At 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on ESPN, it's LSU as a 9.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. LSU leads the series all-time real big, 77-36-3. They first played in 1896, 2-10 for Mississippi State in the last 12 in Starkville. Tomorrow, LSU 9.5-point favorite over Mississippi State. I'm going to take LSU to win and to cover. I'm going to take LSU to win 28-10 over the Bullies.
I'm right there with you. I'm also going to take LSU minus the 9.5. And really, I think all of this comes down to the expectations for LSU coming into the season, because I think they were accurate. I mean, when you look at what that team was last year, and what they added this offseason, I don't think you could think that they're going to be that much worse than they were last week. Now, I know a lot of people are swayed a little bit because of what happened in that first game against Florida State. Last week, they played Grambling. They hang 60 on Grambling. Now, obviously, that's not a huge test against an FCS opponent, and so I think they're really going to be ready to show. I think Brian Kelly has gotten in there and has kind of really amped them up coming into SEC conference play. So I think LSU wins. I think they win comfortably, but that's nothing disrespectful against Mississippi State. I know a couple sloppy games from them to start the season. I just think LSU might dominate tomorrow.
Tomorrow in Gainesville, Tennessee, trying to stop that ugly streak. 6 o'clock game under the stars in Gainesville on ESPN. Tennessee, a 6.5-point favorite. The Gators lead all time 31-21. Only 5 Tennessee wins ever in Gainesville. 1953, 1955, 1971, and Philip Fulmer getting them twice in 2001 and in 2003. This has to be the year for Tennessee, not only to do it, but to roll it up big. And I promise you, I had this as my score. Bruce Marshall said something around 30-14, 30-17, something like that. Maybe Alan Bell said that. I'm going with that exact score, 31-7. Tennessee over the Gators.
I like it. I'm going to go with Tennessee as well. You know, we talk about Florida. A lot of Ty said it a couple weeks ago about Arkansas, and you just said it about about Tennessee, I guess I should say. That if you're going to beat Florida in the swamp, this seems to be the year to do it. Now, what scares me is this number sitting at 6.5, because I think a lot of people, when they just look at this game, rank Tennessee. We've heard about their offense going into the season versus a Florida team that has not looked good through 2 games. I think everyone would say, oh, Tennessee is going to dominate that game. So I do think home field advantage is going to help a lot, but still, I just don't see Florida putting up much offensively, and even though there are some questions about Tennessee's offense, I still expect them to put up points, score a ton, and for that reason, I'll definitely take them to beat Florida by a touchdown.
So far, we agree on both. We agreed on LSU. We agree on Tennessee. 6:30 in Oxford. Pregame starts right here at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon from the Grove. I'll be alongside Gary Darby. The game's on SEC Network. Ole Miss an 18.5-point favorite over the Ramblin' Wreck. Blasted them 42-0 last year on campus in Atlanta. I don't expect anything like that tomorrow. Ole Miss leads all time in this series 3-2. They first met in 1946 in Atlanta on campus at Grant Field. Quarterback for Ole Miss that day was Charlie Connolly. Quarterback for Georgia Tech that day was Frank Brawls. They played in the 1953 Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. That was the first Ole Miss Sugar Bowl. That was the first of 10 Sugar Bowls for Ole Miss. That's the fourth most appearances in the Sugar Bowl game. Bama leads their first, LSU second, and Georgia third. Tomorrow in Oxford, though, no Sugar Bowl, but a lot of fun. But I'm going to go with Ole Miss to win, but not get there. Just win 28-14 over Georgia Tech.
I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go with Ole Miss here in this one. It's a massive number, 18.5. But for Georgia Tech, I think for me to believe in you against an SEC team, you've got to show me first, and I haven't seen it. I do like the argument you make. I like the argument Bruce Marshall made to us a little over an hour ago when he was talking about Georgia Tech maybe keeping this one close. But I don't know. I might be on the wrong side of this one, but I just think when you look at this game, what Ole Miss has done against a good, even though Michael Pratt didn't play last week against Tulane, I thought a very good backup quarterback at Tulane is still a very good team. I mean, you saw Ole Miss get down last week and have to fight back. You saw that resiliency at play, and so I think Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss wins. I think they win big, and so I think they cover this 18.5.
Gutsy win last week for the Rebels, and I think a real challenge against Haynes King tomorrow in Oxford. 6:30 on ESPN2. We just visit with Ty Richardson about it. Arkansas an 8.5-point favorite over BYU. The Razorbacks blasted BYU last year. Got 52, beat them 52-35 in Provo. The return game in Fayetteville. You pick first.
All right, I will take BYU in this game. You know, we just talked to Ty, and I asked Ty about it. Ty acknowledged it. It's been a slow start for that Arkansas offense, missing, obviously, Rocket Sanders, and, you know, they just haven't really been able to get much going. And so the offense I need to see more from. The defense has done great. I mean, they've forced turnovers and made plays, but this offense I want to see more of. I think Arkansas wins the game. We were just talking about that in the last segment. I think Arkansas wins, but when you're going to give me 8.5, more than a touchdown spread in a game against a Power 5 school, I'm going to have to go with BYU in this one. I think they keep it within that 9 points.
That's copy and paste on that analysis. I think exactly the same thing. Fourth quarter game, a game that Arkansas is going to win, but very competitive. Both teams 2-0. Arkansas wins at 27-20, but give me BYU with the points. Give me your college football lock and shock.
All right, well, let's start with my lock of the weekend. I'm going to go with one, you know, we always ask Bruce Marshall for his off-the-radar games, and I think both of my lock and my shock are kind of off-the-radar games. My first one, I'm going to go with Liberty, minus 3.5 over Buffalo. When you look at this Liberty Flames team, obviously a new coach and a lot of new players, but they've taken care of business through the first two games against two FBS schools. They opened up the season against Bowling Green and won 34-24. In that second game against New Mexico State, now obviously New Mexico State has not been very impressive this year, but they beat them 33-17. On the other side, for Buffalo, they're 0-2. They started the season against Wisconsin, a ranked opponent, but they lost 38-17, so put up a good fight. But then last week against Fordham, a good FCS team in Fordham, they lost by 3 points, 40-37. It's clear to me Liberty has played bad competition and has taken care of that bad competition. For Buffalo, on the other hand, I would need to see more. So I think Liberty can take care of business. I think they win by a touchdown at least in this game over Buffalo. My shock might surprise people, probably shouldn't. I'm going to go with Charlotte in this one, plus the 7.5 over Georgia State. And I want to say this, the first thing about this game, this has nothing to do with Charlotte. I don't care who the team is across from.
You're on the Biff bus.
I'm on the Biff bus, but this pick has nothing to do with Biff Poggi or that team because, Brett, I've only seen Georgia State play one game. And that was in week 1, they played Rhode Island. And Rhode Island is a ranked FCS team, I think a very good FCS team.
Rhody stayed right with them.
Rhode Island should have won that game. at Georgia State. And so because of that, I just was not impressed with Georgia State at all. Like I said, I thought Rhode Island should have won that game. I don't know what Georgia State did last week, so I don't really have reference for that. But, I like this defense in Charlotte. They were up 14-0 against Maryland last week at Maryland. I think his defense can lead the way. That offense still needs to get going. I think it could happen this week against Georgia State. But with the 7.5, you're going to have to beat Charlotte by more than a touchdown, so I will take the 49ers.
And you will be able to say, and honestly say, whenever Biff Poggi is doing whatever he does in college football, and I think on to a great career, you can say you were there in the beginning
I was.
with the 49ers in the Biff bus. My college football lock, I'm going to take OU and lay the 28.5. I loved it at 26.5.
Oh, yeah.
But when he got up there with that 4 touchdowns and the hook, I'll still take the Sooners, OU over TU on campus at Tulsa. My college football shock, give me Mizzou straight up over Kansas State, and I think that's what Memphis Tiger fans should want, and really set up the big one next week on the road in St. Louis at the Dome. NFL on Sunday, it starts at noon on CBS. Kansas City, a 3.5-point favorite over Jacksonville. Kansas City 9-6 all-time over Jacksonville, 8-6 regular season, 1-0 in playoffs. Bruce Marshall loved Jacksonville. Alan Bell loved Jacksonville. I love Jacksonville. Rare sellout in Jacksonville. The Jags win big, 24-17. Big enough for the NFL. Sure. 24-17 over Kansas City.
I'm gonna stick right there with all of y'all because I also like the Jags in this spot. I think it's very unlikely that Kansas City, any defending champ really, especially a dynasty like Kansas City, starts the season 0-2. But not many teams have to play Detroit and then the Jacksonville Jaguars one after the other. So maybe they don't lose this game, but I do like the hook there at 3.5. I like the spot for Jacksonville at home. Like you said, a sellout there in Jacksonville. So it's going to be rowdy. It's going to be a crowd that can push Jacksonville deep into this game. So I think it's a very close game. I think it's going to be a great game this weekend, but I'll take Jacksonville.
Noon on Sunday on CBS. Too bad, too sad. If you got DirecTV in our area, you won't see it. Yeah. Chargers 3.5 over Tennessee in Nashville. Chargers lead all time 28-15-1. Of course, they're both original AFL teams. They first played in the first year of the AFL in 1960. Give me the Chargers. Lay the points. Chargers win 28-17. They get there easily on the 3.5.
Yeah, I think you could have made an argument that the Chargers should have beaten the Dolphins last week in that shootout, but they didn't, so they're 0-1. But when you look at that offense that we saw last week from the Chargers and the offense we saw from the Titans last week, I think there's just a massive difference. And so I'm going to go with the Chargers. 3.5, I think they could win this game by a touchdown. Like I said, with my bingo card, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are wanting to bench Ryan Tannehill, wanting him not to be the starting quarterback or even on the team anymore. For that to happen, I think the Chargers have to win convincingly, and so I think they at least win by a touchdown.
Noon on Fox, Detroit 5.5 over Seattle. Give me the Lions, the 5.5. They get there easily, 35-14 over Pete Carroll's Hawks.
Maybe I just bought in too much with Seattle to start the season, or maybe I just have not bought in enough with Detroit, but I think this is a big number. I know Seattle kind of got blown out in terms of NFL standards last weekend, but because of that, I think that they can, bounce back a little bit this week. That offense should get better as some of those weapons get more comfortable, especially Jackson Smith-Njigba, who just came back from an injury and a rookie. So I'll take Seattle here plus the 5.5.
And Sunday night football, 7:20 on NBC, Miami minus 3.5 at New England. Miami leads 60-55 all time. It used to be a lot bigger spread than that until a guy named Brady hit the Boston area. They first played in 1966 with Babe Parilli at quarterback for the Boston Patriots. He played college football at Kentucky for Coach Bear Bryant. Give me New England Sunday night in the upset, 21-20 over Miami.
I like that, but I'm going to go the other way. I have been impressed with New England, but I'm going to take Miami minus the 3.5. That offense looked really good. Tua with over 400 yards. I'll take the Dolphins.
Give me your lock and shock from the NFL.
My lock, I'm going to go with the Giants minus 4.5 over the Cardinals. I mentioned it earlier. If the Giants are going to have even a decent season, they need to take care of the Cardinals, so I think they do that. And then my shock, I'm going to take the Colts plus 1.5 over the Texans. It's going to be a battle between rookie quarterbacks, but I give Anthony Richardson and that Colts offense the edge.
NFL shot for me, Washington plus the points against Denver. They win straight up 17-13. Lock, lay the points with San Francisco. They're that good. They win 42-14 over the Rams. It crashed to earth for the Rams after that good week one, and lay the 8.5 for San Francisco. We'll pick Monday Night Football at 5:30 on Monday, but that's our First National Bank Friday football forecast. We do it every Friday. It's brought to you by the great people at First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. The definition of stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent for any real estate need, commercial, ag, hunting, recreational. Contact them at fnbt.com or call them at 901-498-5763.
Let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Now, back to Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
When you walk into Genesis Diamonds, it's jaw-dropping. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis has a gorgeous showroom with more fine jewelry than you've ever seen in one place. No commission salespeople and no stress whatsoever. Genesis Diamonds is a whole new, refreshing concept in jewelry shopping that people here are absolutely loving. And they specialize in diamonds, so they have every size and every shape diamond you can imagine, from a half-carat to 20-carat diamonds, rounds, ovals, cushion cuts, princess cuts, emerald cuts, pear shapes, you name it, they've got it. And you can choose from natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds. The prices will shock you. Genesis is a disruptor. They came here to expose high jewelry markups at other stores and pass the savings on to you. Genesis is a game changer, and it's not just diamonds. Check out Genesis' amazing selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes with all the hard-to-find models. Don't buy jewelry anywhere until you see what Genesis has brought to Memphis. They're on Poplar at Perkins Extended in Poplar Commons. Genesis Diamonds, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days are going strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. And if you're ready to save big bucks, we Gossett. Show off your style in 2023 Fiat 500X Pop 4-door. Gossett priced at $28,990 or $354 a month with 0% APR. Or take your pick with 2023 Jeep Renegade or 2023 Dodge Charger, now just $422 a month. And if you're looking for big savings on your 2023 Ram 1500, get to Gossett for just $587 a month. And if we don't have it, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike, or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 3,500 down, must finance through Chrysler. Pop PP 988,763, MSRP 31,355. Renegade PPP 45,607, MSRP 30,500. Charger PH 508,657, MSRP 35,930. Ram PN 693, 3965, MSRP 48,330. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/30/2023 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today is that the Tigers are 3-0. Now they have a long week before they face off against Missouri in St. Louis. Yes, there can be question marks about this team, both offensively and defensively. And yes, I think those questions need to be addressed. But let's wait and see how they look against Missouri. A short week against a quirky Navy offense. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt this week. Let's just see what they do next week in St. Louis.
Same thing. That's exactly what I learned. They're far from perfect, far from a finished product, and a lot of improvement they need in the offensive line, tackling issues. And for me, the biggest thing that scares me is I haven't seen that big step up for Seth Hennigan. Maybe it's coming. I sure hope so.
What I could have done without is really all the question marks around this Alabama team. We learned today that Tyler Buchner is expected to start at quarterback versus USF tomorrow, and it's really all we've heard all week is this team is not to Alabama standards of what we've been used to seeing, and how can they fix these things? If you ask some people, they'll say there's problems all over the field. It's not just the quarterback. So we'll see what adjustments they make going down to Tampa tomorrow. And now with Tyler Buchner as the starting quarterback, we'll get our first look to see what he looks like with these ones.
We will see that. I could have done without this. The criticism of Kirk Cousins. You mentioned that stat line for him.
Yeah.
He's the quarterback, and we know with that position the good and the bad goes with it. But when does he ever really get the good? When they win, it's very rarely he's the reason why. When they lose, he seems to kind of be the butt of the jokes. He's passed for 708 yards, 364 last night, 344 week 1, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he doesn't play defense. How's it his fault?
You know, that's something that a lot of people seem to forget, Brett, is that the starting quarterback does not play defense. There's a lot of people that want to think they do. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to right here this weekend for the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. The Engineers in town in Oxford. The Yellow Jackets are for the first time ever, even though they both were charter members of the SEC, First time ever. Pregame starts at 4:30. Me alongside Gary Darby. Kickoff at 6:30 with the voice of the Rebels, David Kellum, Harry Harrison with the analysis, and John Darnell from the sidelines. Can't wait. This will be fun, and then into conference play except for ULM late in the year.
Absolutely. I'm going to beam up to Maine. This game has already started, but Rhode Island versus Maine going on right now. Currently, Maine is up 7-3. Rhode Island just made a field goal, and the reason I want to go up to this game is because this game was scheduled to be played tomorrow, a regular Saturday game for both of these teams, but because of Hurricane Lee, they were forced to move this game to tonight. So these two teams will battle. Rhode Island, I mentioned them earlier, they've looked good this season and are in the FCS Top 25, so beam me up to Maine for some FCS football.
I'm going to keep a close eye on a lot this weekend like this. Talking about the Tigers found their running game last night, but there's a lot of answers still to be resolved for teams like, can Quinshawn Judkins get going? Can KJ Jefferson, he almost has to be perfect for the Razorbacks. Can Will Rogers have his big Mississippi State moment? And for Joe Milton, it's right there on the tee for him in, pardon the pun, in Florida.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've heard a lot of people kind of complaining about this weekend slate in college football, but really, are we going to complain about a Saturday of college football? I mean, tell it to Tennessee when they have an opportunity to win a massive game down in the Swamp. So it should be a really, really fun weekend. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.